The Swans and Saints, you're automatically drawn to Nick Riewoldz's amazing mark in 2004, where he personified the bravery we love in our game.
There is a beauty and a grace in toughness.
But there's been many other memorable moments over the past decade, as far back as the 2002 stalemate at the Docklands. There was controversy and class in the Sydney 2005 preliminary final victory.
Schneiderman can kick his third for the quarter, but the Swans are in the grand final.
And several tight, dramatic thrillers were to follow.
The Saints lift their arms above. Paul Roos tells another story.
When St.Kilda went looking for a new beginning and new leader after the controversial sacking of Grant Thomas, it was Sydney's blueprint and indeed a Sydney coach they put their faith in. And Ross Lyon bought plenty of the Swans' professional approach to the Saints right up until his last game, which turned out to be against Sydney in last year's finals.
The Swans fans are cheering. 2011 is over for the Saints.
And this year's round 9 clash saw St.Kilda produce a stunning victory at Etihad Stadium.
They found a way to hand it back to Del Santo, who strolls in to join the party.
Amazingly, it was the last time the Swans have been beaten this year.
That's sealed with love for Lenny. The Saints win by 28.
Since then, Sydney has made its way to the top of the AFL ladder and are genuine premiership contenders, while the Saints are battling it out for a place in the 8. But who knows what might happen today.
Yeah, huge game here at the SCG. The Swans, well, they're trying to stay on top of the tree, and St Kilda really desperately trying to get into that top 8 and stay there as well. Massive afternoon here at the SCG. Conditions pretty good. A little bit of sun out at the moment, but there's certainly been a little bit of rain around as well. So looking forward to a big afternoon of football here on Fox Footy. Now, the St Kilda Footy Club, they've got a huge game this afternoon, as I mentioned. 2 players who have been referred to by the coaches, the Rat Pack, are very important. Ahmed Saad was terrific last week against Brisbane, and Stephen Milne, he's a star. We know that. They'll need very, very big efforts this afternoon by both of those players. As we know, the Swans have got a very settled defence.
Thank you, Liam. Yes, looking forward to it. The sun is out, which I no doubt will please Liam down there at the moment. There has been some rain around today, Paul Roos, though, hasn't there? So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses through the afternoon. What are you expecting?
Yeah, look, I think even if it rains, as long as it doesn't rain for extended periods, the ground's pretty good, it drains pretty quickly. We've had some rain Friday night and a little bit last night, Spud, but I think whatever the conditions, I'm expecting a high-quality game.
Really looking forward to this clash. Obviously, spoke to Scotty Waters pre-game. Clinton Jones tagging Lewis Jett. I think that's a good move because he's not in the top 50 in disposals, but he's ranked in the top 12 for metres gained with his disposals. His run and carry's been unbelievable this year.
I think every disposal he gets is so damaging. And if I was the opposition coach, I'd really now start to lock down on Jetta because he's the outside midfielder, sort of half forward that comes up, but he's very, very good at opening space over the back, and he's kicked a lot of goals running into open space. But they certainly do have some midfield depth. There's no question about that now. They've got a lot of players. I think Jude Bolton's been starting forward, as is Adam Goods. It just shows you the midfield depth when you've got 2 premiership players that can start in the forward 50.
Do you think we'll get Josh Kennedy versus Lenny Hayes? They're both just clearance machines.
Yeah, it'll be a great battle if they do. I think Kennedy's now one that the people are looking at in the Joe Watson mould. Do you tag him, Spud, or don't you? Because he's so strong around the stoppages. He's going to get a lot of ball himself. Maybe they put a spreading type player on him, maybe a Montagna or a Goddard, but that'll be interesting as well.
Look like the Sydney Swans have gone really tall, nice and early. Reid, Mike Pike, Lewis Roberts-Thomson and Adam Goods. 4 talls over 6'4". Really stretches St Kilda defence.
Yeah, interesting. Goodsy starting forward. Obviously that seems to be the plan. Try to get him up there, maybe get it in long and quick, nice and early, and sort of do some damage on the scoreboard. And you've got Richards going down to deep onto Kosicki. So, you know, we sort of talked about Richards Riewoldt, but I think it'll be centre-half back. If Riewoldt pushes forward, deep forward, you'll get Richards Riewoldt, and then you've got Grundy up the ground.
And you've got Goddard starting forward. Yep. Bruzy, you got your wish.
So we're underway, this big game at the SCG. St Kilda and Sydney, and they're in deep very quickly. Simpkin has been a very good player for them. Had a few weeks off as the toughness of the season was starting to take its toll. Graham clears out to the width of the SCG, right towards the wing. And there's a good early sign, good tackle.
When you mentioned Simpkin, Hutto, I don't think they realised, Spud, the damage that it caused Dawson leading, and it's probably been time to adjust. Simpkins, a young player, has done some really good roles for him this year.
No doubting that whatsoever. He's just a really big body, Dawson. They've lacked that this year.
And he's got long arms as well, hasn't he, which sometimes is needed against the big players. Big kick into the 50 by Shaw, who's been such a wonderful player for them, but Dempster, who's had a variety of roles this year.
Yeah, he's played on some tours this year, Sean, which he hasn't done, certainly didn't do for us. It's a good mark against Lewis Roberts-Thomson, who's a genuine sort of 6'4", so good body work from Sean there.
Up to the wing, Milne. Yeah, just a little bit of jump attack there.
It's going to be a good duel. Nick Smith, the #1 stopper for Sydney, and Stephen Milne.
That's a smart free kick spot because you can't let Milne get over the back, and it looked like he was going to get some freedom over the back there, so Nick Smith had to give away that free kick.
Kazitsky in the middle of all of that, couldn't take it. Del Santo and the Saints getting their hands on the ball. Geary, who's often deep in defence. Here he is driving to Revolt, who got away from Grundy.
Well, it was a good spoil, but the actual spoil went to front and square, which really did open it up for St Kilda midfielders. And Revolt was actually at that contest, darted out the back, ran hard to the goal square, and then did the double lead on Heath Grundy.
It looks like they're going to get all their forwards coming up and maybe try and leave Revolt into a bit of space. They did that really well in that piece of play.
Here's Revolt. He's only kicked 1 goal in each of his last 3 encounters against the Saints, against the Swans, I should say, and that's they're behind. So he really would like a confidence boost. As Shaw guides it into the back pocket and finds Johnson, another important component of this Sydney defence.
The good thing about Johnson, Hutto, he can take a small, medium or a tall. So he's a real versatile. He's a terrific athlete, got good endurance and good speed as well.
Oh, it's so important, isn't it, these days to have that mix of players in your defence.
Generally here, Spud, we see Swans dropping someone off the back, and they are doing it again. And I think it's Marty Mattner dropping off at that stoppage there.
Another kick up towards Milne, who hugs it in. Kazitsky and Richards wrestling back in the goal square. Grundy trying to watch Revolt.
He chanced his arm here, Stephen Milne, because there was a number of leads, and he's gone back as if he's shooting for goal.
He had Goddard free in the pocket. Yep.
You know, he also doesn't have a great record against the Swans, particularly recently. Gives it plenty. Gee, he was confident, wasn't he? And that's why.
That's a really nice kick. I didn't think he was any chance to kick that goal. So whether there's a bit of a breeze, and we might ask Pickers a bit later on, maybe there's a bit of a breeze. That effect from the stand coming down, Spot, I think it's something we're not really sure how that is going to cope. The stadium will cope with that. But real quick kick, and this often happens. The forward in front, first to move. Nick Smith was right on him, but that scrubby little kick out of a stoppage is almost the defender's worst nightmare. But we talked about it. Goddard was free in the pocket running forward, but Milne was really confident. And it's a beautiful finish for goal.
Well, we know of Stephen Milne as sort of a runner. He usually plays on even from any set shot, doesn't he? But to kick it from 55.
Well, it was a 65-metre kick.
Yeah, stunning stuff for the Saints.
Pickers, there's the win with that grandstand on the far side helping the St Kilda players.
I think Picker's been blown away.
He might have been.
Well, Swans going forward through McVeigh. Threatening kick over Reed's head. Mike Buck, this is his spot. Oh, he got one from there last week.
Yeah, just unlucky there. Just a bounce sort of led him towards the points and tried to screw it round. Bad kick, that.
Oh, it is a bad kick. And that hands it straight back, and it looks like it'll be Marty Mattner. I mean, once the job of climbing the fence.
Yeah, sorry, maybe the wind maybe took that one a little bit too, Spud. So I think it will have an effect on the game.
Nice little manoeuvre to get himself clear. Across the face. Nick McAvoy's a hard man to get past. Gilbert was there as well. McGlynn running into an open point. Put it through.
There's great matchups all over the field, but Adam Good starting forward, his direct opponent Sam Fisher. So Sam Fisher loves to play that extra. He'll have his hands full of he'll have to defend Goods nice and early, but his natural game is to help the defence. But it's a great move there from John Longmire.
Yeah, and I think if Goodsy starts as downfield kick, I think if Goodsy starts in 50 and plays that key sort of deep centre forward type Wayne Carey role, that'll worry Fisher a bit.
The downfield free, suddenly Revolt and Kazitsky coming into the action. And Cossey's marked it. This would be just beyond him, you would think. Then again, pretty much the same spot where Stephen Milne kicked the goal.
I've got no doubt there's a vacuum from the grandstand down, straight over Cossey's shoulder here.
He's had a very accurate season in front of goal, has Justin Kazitsky. And that one not going to make the distance. So there you go.
The other interesting one is Spud, Mattner versus Goddard. Now, you mentioned Goddard starting half forward, but he's pushing up in the midfield. Now, at the moment, Mattner seems to let him go, and he's just got to be careful, Marty, that he doesn't get caught with Goddard running forward. And that happened with Milne before. We touched on it. Milne didn't go to Goddard, but if he's got to watch him, Marty, when he runs forward.
Geary finds McAvoy. Revolt back in the square. Saad makes a little lead into the pocket.
So you got Goddard Goods. If you look in the top of the screen left there, it's Goddard Goods. Now, Goods is actually playing forward, and he's actually covering for Marty Mattner now.
So Del Santo. Oh, it's 50.
Oh, that's... Gee, that's half a step.
Shaw was there.
Yeah.
Milcheski,
that's tough. That is really tough.
Well, especially since he actually looked like he was playing on. He actually went off his line, Nick Del Santo, then.
And the umpire had blown his whistle to say, or it said, your time's up, but he hadn't actually called play on. So that lays it out for Nick Del Santo, and he should pop it through, which he does. And the Saints with the first 2 goals. Smart start.
I think there's got to be some common sense why the umpire did that. I mean, you're right. He blew a whistle, and we'll probably see that again. He blew a whistle to tell the guy he didn't call play on, but all Milcheski did, if you look at Mel here, all he does is take 1 step. Now, he doesn't go any further. Here it is, 1, and then he goes back. So Mel's gone, OK, that's fine. I reckon that's a bit harsh, Spud.
It's a fine line, isn't it? He has to wait for the umpire. He actually did move forward, so in the letter of the law, the umpire has paid what he thought was right. Very high price to pay, though, isn't it? Just for 1 step encroaching in that 5 to 10 metre area.
Yeah.
So Mumford and McAvoy eyeing each other out off, and McAvoy wins the tap down. Hanbury, who was so prolific last week, in the 40s in his disposals. Bolton heads to half forward. Reid had it knocked away. There's Fisher getting help at the back from Dempster initially. Gwilt switches to Simpkin. So the Saints getting it together nicely so far. For Gilbert, there's an element of risk to that kick, but it gets there safely. And he also pretty conservative with his kick to Jack Stephen. A welcome inclusion in this side, along with Brendan Goddard.
They'll both be keen to play well, Hutto.
He ran really wide, and Hanbury was saying, well, that was almost out of bounds. He almost...
well read Heath Grundy there. Yeah, he did, but he got... I was just watching the marking contest there. Rewalt and Cozzy were together. One of them had to be in front. They were both behind Heath Grundy.
And that's a real strength for the Swans defence. If they're going to bomb it in like that, that's advantage. That's certainly advantage Swans.
Geary. And that's smothered over the boundary line.
Just to talk about this breeze, it's a really fluky breeze. We know that stands come down at the other end of the ground, but if you look at the flags on the top of the sand on the Bill O'Reilly stand, it looks like it's going Swans' way, but you get it on this side of the ground, it certainly appears to be favouring the way the St Kilda are kicking, so a real fluky breeze this afternoon.
McAvoy brings it to his feet. Hanbury squirts it out in tight work, and I think Lenny Hayes, realising the direness of the situation, took it over.
So now you've got a double team on Rewald behind play. So you've got Grundy sort of on him, and Teddy Richards has dropped back in front of him. So
Cozzy's off the ground, and that's smart from Teddy.
Exactly. And they do that particularly well.
Bird back to Milcheski. And Dempster sees it over.
Been no clean entry for Sydney at the moment, is it? It's just high, long bombs. It's really suiting the St Kilda defence in numbers.
Yeah, they haven't had a clean passage of play, and Teddy Richards goes back to Cozzy. Marty Mattner's now the one free off the back.
Bolton out to Jones. He has to withstand a bit.
Good decision from the umpire. He was initially going to play a head-high tackle, but he ducked the head there to St Kilda player.
Yeah, we put the whistle up to the mouth, didn't he, Spud? But if we'd like to see it again, just to see that he looked up and then went back down. Yeah, he had a chance to get up. Don't mind that.
Good decision.
Yeah.
And Adam Goods did really well to try and evade the head.
Pike gets it down. O'Keefe scrambling for it. He's been in wonderful form too, as most of the Sydney midfield have.
Yeah. Sydney are winning the clearances 5-1, but they're not getting any reward whatsoever. There's been rush kicks out of the clearances. No break to space.
Nothing doing initially. Now Goods. They hit the zigzag and go backwards for reinforcements. Short, poking kick, but effective. And McVeigh takes the mark at the intersection of the 50. Reid makes his lead out of the square. There he is.
A lot of numbers inside the forward 50.
Yeah, it was a fairly low percentage, and they may have no choice but to lob it on the top of the square here or have the shot.
Now, he should have some breeze behind his back here.
And he's used it reasonably well, but just in the end, the equation was too great.
It looks like a really tricky breeze out there because it's even hard to pick up from here. We saw Milne's one go a million miles down the other end, and a couple have pulled up short, a couple of flying long, so it'll be up to the players to work out.
Well, Snyder had done so well there under a fair bit of confusion, but in the end they turn it over. O'Keefe sets up Hanbury, and eventually it's Bolton that fires away, and he's got it on just offline.
Well, Sydney lead the smothers this season, an amazing amount of numbers, 134 smothers, Sydney Swans, which is fantastic, and that's about the zoning pressure that they put on.
Yeah, they do. They get some good numbers to the contest, and certainly their pressure skills this year have been fantastic.
So Jack Stephen averaging 21 disposals, and Aaron Sipos, who's had something of a breakout in the last few weeks.
Beautiful kick of the ball, Sipos.
Yeah, 17 disposals last week, kicked 2 goals too. There's a big grab from Mike Pike, who just continues to grow in confidence. Each week we see him do something that we haven't seen him do before.
I think the greatest compliment now, Hardo, is we're no longer talking about him as being a Canadian rugby player. We talk about him as being an AFL player. It's a real credit to him. He's such a professional athlete.
So Jeddah gets away for his first meaningful possession, but it goes straight back into St Kilda's hands. Gwilt to Armitage, and now Gilbert got through one, and not sure if he got through the second. Umpire gave him a little bit of latitude. That got through the cracks to Milne. He wasn't looking to pass that one, Milne. That's why it's his second. That's more like the Milne we know.
Yeah, a little bit lucky there, I thought, St Kilda. They had a couple of chances, and I reckon Swans are stiff not to get a free kick there, Spud. A couple of chances. If you take a tackler on, you've got to get a clean possession, and I don't think that happened with a couple of the St Kilda boys going through the middle of the ground.
No, there was a secondary tackle. There's the Mike Pike mark. That's a magnificent mark. But you're right, on the half-forward flank, it was incorrect. Here it is, Armitage. Oh, he might have got half a hand on it.
It was this one.
Good decision.
It was Gilbert.
Yeah,
that was the one.
Yep.
And again, having looked at the replay, hard to say. Even the second one with Gilbert was a 50-50 as to whether it could have been incorrect disposal. But nonetheless, talking of disposal, it's the Saints that are making fewer mistakes at the moment with the footy.
Yeah, well, the Swans are winning the clearances, but they're ineffective.
Inside 50s are now pretty much at parity with 5-all. Gilbert, and now it's into Goddard's hand via Hayes. Goddard had a little time to think about it. Milne went to ground, and Nick Smith will feel better about this one. Can gallop away, but he won't feel so hot about that kick. Wobbles its way to centre half forward. Bolton made it look okay. McVeigh, he's had a wonderful season as well. Sydney conceded the first 3 goals last week against West Coast and didn't panic, so I'll know that the game is a long way from being shot just because they've made a slow start.
And they love the ball in McVeigh's hands. He's such a good decision maker, particularly with today's presses and zones and all that. When McVeigh gets the ball, he generally makes the right decision. That's a great decision.
20 goals for the season for Ben McGlynn. 1 goal 2 last week.
No, it's disappointing. Really disappointing. That was their first really good build-up. And you're right, McVeigh, the last 3 weeks, he's averaged 33 disposals. You can't tag them all, but he uses the ball so well.
Yeah, I think it is the midfield depth. I mean, we know the stars that St Kilda have got, Tagnia, Del Sano, Hayes, Goddard through their midfield, but really, geez, that's a bad kick. The midfield depth of the Swans is causing problems for most opposition teams now.
Well, they're putting unnecessary pressure on themselves, the Saints, with that ball use, but they've escaped again. McAvoy, he wobbles one, as you can hear the call was touched, so Snyder has to play on. He won't worry about that one little bit. Now, there's no one in the 50. It's a vacant lot at the moment. Eventually it gets filled, but there wasn't much on. Crept away from Smith, and again, that would have made him worry a bit. The pressure and tackling was good from Stephen, and the kick was under pressure. Just get it out of there from Johnson, so Kaczynski can set it up again.
Oh, beautiful kick.
Vay arriving late and was just able to work Geary out of it. And the Swans should have been able to rebound, but a little bit of a fumble, and the Saints' intensity has gone up some more. They've had 7 tackles they've laid so far to 4.
I reckon that kick was about 5 metres a bit too far, Spud, because it was a great kick, but just the distance it had to cover meant McVeigh was able to spoil that ball.
And there was a perfect example why the Swans are ranked 1 in defence. Coming off their direct opponent to initiate that spoil.
Pike guiding it down. All the players right through that centre corridor at the moment of the ground. So no one really out wide, and Bolton couldn't get it over the St Kilda defence, led by Geary on this occasion. Gwilt, adventurous, kicks it long out. No, but Milne flew so early. He's ended up getting it somehow. How did he get the footy? This would be an extraordinary achievement. Stephen Milne, what a kick! What an amazing goal!
Is that actually legal what he did, though?
I don't know.
Well, he jumped in the air, but I don't think he impacted on any of the Swans players. He mistimed it.
Must have not, because...
And I think it confused the Sydney Swan players. Yeah, there wasn't much of a lead.
Not much contact.
But missed tackle there, that's really disappointing.
Gee, three players. I'll tell you what, it's a great goal. It looked terrible in the air, but
too.
Yeah, he didn't really touch him, did he? He just jumped early, and Marty should have marked that. And a couple of Swans mistakes. Great goal, Milne.
You've got to make the most of your opportunities when you're playing the state, and they've had 8 inside 50s for 4 goals. But up the other end, Roos, I think a couple of the Sydney Swans half forwards are getting too far up the ground. When they're going forward, Ben Reid's having to fight with 2 or 3 St Kilda players.
Yeah, it has been their game style, Spud, a bit, but St Kilda have been really smart holding back like this.
There's a 3-on-1.
Exactly, 3-on-1, because what the Swans have been trying to do is get all their forwards up and go long over the top to Jetta or Reid or whatever. But at the moment, the St Kilda coaching staff, I'm sure, would have looked at that, and they're just sitting a couple back, whereas at the other end, the Swans defenders are getting sucked up the ground. And there's Goddard.
You can see that there with Brendan Goddard. He just limped off when that last goal was kicked. Looks like he's strapping on his ankles. But he was limping a little bit, but he came off at the last goal.
So this is an extraordinary start for St Kilda. 4 goals to 0. And the Swans, they are winning the clearances, but not much else. Head down, free kick earned by Richards.
Well, you look up and he's got McAvoy and Sam Fisher with Lewis Roberts-Thomson. So the half-forwards for Sydney have to work back hard and try and engage those defenders.
Well, they've actually put O'Keefe behind the ball now, Spud. It looks like John Longmire said, no, enough's enough. So you can see O'Keefe here getting run past by Grundy. So he's loose. So they're going to have to work this around and just chip the ball.
So Smith gives it plenty, but Lewis Roberts-Thomson...
Fisher will eat that up, Hutto, every single time.
Well, it's exactly what you said then, Rosie. They had to chip the ball. They had to be more patient and possess the ball. Just to go long into that area, that plays into Sammy Fisher's hands. He'll mark that all day.
Milne finds Geary. This game being played on St Kilda's terms at the moment.
Just their ball use is so much better, Hutto.
Yep. Sipos offers a lead. Kazitsky and Revolt are still deep. See the uncertainty caused by the overpopulation of players inside the 50 and eventually the slip up.
It'll be a little bit of worry for the Sydney Swans coaching staff, because Sydney have been in the... There's the handball. Yeah, it's a little bit too out in front. Both been in 8 times, but the 3 leading possession getters for St Kilda are Fisher, Gilbert and Gwilt, all defenders. And they really haven't had much of an opponent.
And the kicking efficiency is 57% for the Swans and 72 from St Kilda pickers. So you're absolutely right. They're using the ball a lot better, the Saints.
Yeah, well, 15% better. I mean, that tells you the difference in the game. I mean, you look at one team kicked 5 points and 4-1. And Milne's shaping as a very, very dangerous player. Nick Smith's now gone to him again. He was on to Goddard for a little period there as well. So they need to shut Milne down. He's such a good player.
Well, Nick Smith, I think, has played on him the last 3 times and he's only conceded a goal each. So Milne's either gone to work on what Nick Smith does or it's just fallen his way nicely early, and he's kicked 3 goals. And each of the goals came from vastly different ways too, didn't they?
I think too, they haven't really been a lock on that matchup too. We saw Shaw was on him at one stage. Mattner looked like he was on him at another. Really, Nick Smith's got to be really disciplined and make sure he just sticks with him everywhere.
Well, umpire lets them play. Not that they can do much playing under those circumstances.
Well, the Saints have definitely dulled the crowd. The atmosphere pre-game was unbelievable down there, Hutto.
It was, wasn't it?
With St Kilda, well, when you've got a scoreline such as this, it's no wonder.
Mumford brings it to ground. They have won the stoppages comprehensively so far. It's 10-2 in favour of Sydney, and yet they're behind on the scoreboard by 20 points.
Spud touched on it before though, Hutton. A lot of these clearance wins from Sydney are just a quick kick, and if you've got loose defenders back, you can't quick kick it. You've got to handball it out, get it to the guy on the outside and then hit targets.
Well, Lewis Jetta's getting tagged. He's normally the player you want to see the ball escape, but Clinton Jones has kept Lewis Jetta to one disposal. It was all a little quick kick from Mike Pike, so that's really good coaching as well.
Absolutely.
There's the matchup.
Yeah, hasn't seen a lot of it so far, Jetta. Just the one disposal. Montagna gets it out of there. Gilbert,
that was nearly too high.
just gaining territory. That did appear to be too high. Just collected over the shoulder.
And it's a learning curve for Lewis Jetta too, Spud, because it wouldn't have happened before. And it is hard when you're an outside player predominantly. Now he's just got to add a couple of tricks to his bag, and I'm sure that'll come because he's a super talented kid.
Grundy gives to Malcheski. That advances the cause into a one-on-one Roberts-Thomson. But Simpkin, he's a dogged player. Simpkin, he got it down to ground and got it away. McAvoy got the rounds from Mumford. Some goods there.
The concern there on that situation was the ball goes long to Roberts-Thomson. The only crumb they had was Mumford. So they're going to go to that long kick. I mean, they need to make sure they've got some smaller players around the contest.
But that long kick suited Simpkin.
Yeah, it did. I agree with that. But, I mean, you still need to get your players to push that back and help out.
No, correct, Wade.
Well, this is interesting. It's got into Jetta's hands, and Reid doesn't mark, but it still should produce a goal. McGlynn. And it doesn't produce the goal. And Jones, who has the job on Jetta. Stephen comes marching out of defence. Kicks it right out to the wing, but it's just going to sit there and Sydney can reset again. Johnson steps inside Sipos, who is helpless to stop him moving again. Advantage paid and taken, and McGlynn's curled it too far.
Well,
they can't buy a goal.
Well, that's the difference at the moment. Ben McGlynn's now had kicked 3 behind that other one, so 4 shots at goal versus Stephen Milne.
Yeah.
Here's the free kick against Gwilt.
So they can get that.
Out of the shoulder.
If they can get that one-on-one, they'll be happy.
But you've got one guy getting 3 straight, and Benny McGlynn having 4 shots for 3 behinds.
Well, the one before that, Spud, he had a little fumble in the goal square. He was going to run into an open goal and just fumbled it and sort of caught it in front of the point post and had to snap it over his head.
Yeah, I think that was a low percentage play, that bit of play though by Benny McGlynn.
Del Santo sorts it out. Oh, kicks into the middle. Wasn't a good time for Snyder to lose traction. It's all Sydney in the middle. Bolton and McVeigh into Hanbury's hands. Here's the one-on-one. No, it won't be one-on-one.
Oh, well done, Dempster.
Dempster got back.
Good courage.
And the umpire says that's all fine. It's over and out.
He's had a very good year, Sean Dempster.
Yes, definitely. And he's got good courage, Sean. He's always had good courage. He'll go back like he did, helped his key defender out, and you love that. If you're playing fullback, you're going to need some help, Spud, as you well know.
This is interesting. Off these stoppages, I'll ask you a question about Jetta and Jones in a minute, Ruzi, because Jones at the stoppages in the forward 50 is staying 10 metres off him and pointing to his teammates to help him, which is interesting that he's using those tactics as Shaw pushes and shoves on Lewis Roberts-Thomson. The backup is all St.Kilda's. Simpkin comes marching out, kicks it short. Play on, it was too short, the umpire said.
Josh Kennedy hasn't heard it.
Armitage drills it up to the wing. So they can't get it out of there at the moment, St Kilda, but the Swans aren't hurting them. It's a bit of kick-to-kick action.
That's a terrible kick. Was that Ryan O'Keefe? He's normally a nice decision-maker. Now it's going to go back to Rewald.
Well, in the shuffle-up, he's been caught on Nick Rewald, Ryan O'Keefe, so not ideal, but again, that's a senior player carving the ball up off half-back, so they've just got to be a bit better when they use the footy.
I think Mumford needs to go back and engage McAvoy a little bit as well. When McAvoy's dropped behind the ball at the moment, he's playing his own game.
Well, but you can't afford, if you're the Swans, if you've got one loose player back, you can't afford the ruckman to go back in their defensive half as well. So, and it allows Mumford to go forward because you know you've got some support for your defence anyway.
Here's Dempster now. Margin is 19. Saints have kicked the only 4 goals of the match. They have been dangerous when they've got it in there, and they are again. Sard, Milne's already kicked 3. The rat pattern started well. He runs in and puts it through for another.
They're just knowing their opportunities, the Saints, as simple as that. They've been in 9 times for 5 goals. Sydney have been in 12 times for 6 behinds. And that's scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, it's good. And this is a bit of a scrubby goal. But having said that, there's no doubt they've been much more efficient. The Swans players there, just a good effort by Sard, but no one followed him up. And it's just a poor effort. You got Grundy there, you got Shaw there, you got McVeigh there, then you got Richards. He just run round all of them.
I think the lack of tackling pressure.
Yeah.
Stephen Milne's miraculous goal about 5 minutes ago, and that goal there was three or four opportunities on both occasions to nail the St Kilda player.
Yeah, missed tackles are killing the Swans at the moment.
And unusually, the ball's been getting behind their defence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really unusual for the number one defensive team in the AFL.
Yeah.
It's a most un-Swan-like performance, but let's give plenty of credit
no,
to
exactly
St Kilda.
right. No, their structures are fantastic. Because you look up now, you've got Cozzy and Sam Fisher on their own. And that's why Hanbury's having a look around, but you just cannot find a one-on-one. So there's Sam Fisher again impacting.
Yeah, good call, Spud. And you know the Swans are a long-kicking team, so obviously the coaching staff have done their work on them and said, OK, well, you're not going to beat us with your strengths. You need to work the ball around, hit some targets, but you're not going to beat us by just bombing the ball in long.
Hayes drove it out to the wing. If they could get a win out of here, St Kilda, even a stoppage, they'd be most pleased. They won't get it yet, it doesn't seem. Kieran Jack, who hasn't had a big influence, asks the kick back in. And Jetta tries to manoeuvre his way through. He can't. McGlynn, Jack, didn't seem to be a path through, but they've worked it with those hands. And McVeigh is the man to finally get it online. At last.
It took the class of McVeigh, and the word composure comes to mind. Ben McGlynn a little bit rushed, trying to get their team a goal and going outside the realms, just getting the ball in your hands, sizing it up. That's a magnificent goal for a player at the top of his form at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good settling goal here for Sydney.
Yeah, good call. There's a fumble from Jetta and then good composure from Kieran Jack as well, running through Chapman. And a really, really nice finish. They really needed that goal. 1 goal, 7 scoring shots to 5 goal, 1, 6 scoring shots.
He's in rare form, as we talked about. He's averaging 33 disposals the last 3 matches. Uses the ball so well.
I think you touched on it. I mean, the Swans, it's 81 to 81, but it's the efficiency, and the inside 50s are in Swans' favour, 14-9, but they're nowhere near as efficient when they go forward as St Kilda.
Desperate stuff from Shaw. He's just frantic, trying to make sure that he showed the umpire he was trying to get it out.
And you look at all the KPIs the coaches love. The contested possessions, 35 to 28 Sydney's favour, and clearances 13 to 5. So they're doing the hard work. They just need to get the ball out in the open a little bit more and have a bit more composure with the ball.
19 the margin. Pike felt the heat, but no damage done. McVeigh clears to another one-on-one. Fisher versus Reid this time. Jones is there and provides some much-needed assistance. Back to Dempster. Saad couldn't get there to impact Malcheski, who takes the mark.
I think now St Kilda probably need to adjust too now, Spud, because we've seen a loose player behind the ball from the Swans. Both teams need to work their way through this now. And it's going to be the team that just, I think, hits targets. We've seen a couple of long bombs go in.
Pike again, what a mark. And off to McGlynn. 2 sets of one-on-ones out very wide. Jack and Gilbert. Here's Mumford versus Gwilt. Interesting effort to try and handball. Just crept over the boundary.
Well, that was good from Mike Pike as he engaged Ben McAvoy and caused a contest, and he marked the ball. That's what you want from your ruckman.
Well, 4 disposals so far from Pike. A couple of really good marks. Here's Sipos deep in defence for the Saints.
Well, Sipos is playing half forward. So you can see, you're right, Ruzi. It's going to be a game of patience and the side that uses the ball the best.
Well, you can see Grundy already free in the middle of the ground, so you can see that if they go long, then Grundy's going to gobble that up and get across there, or even get back inside the defensive 50. So you need to work your way through this now. Spread the Swans zone. Just hit some targets, which they're starting to do now. The Shawnee, you can't play on like that.
Well, it's on now, and it's Pike in the middle. Maybe one too high. Hanbury had a go at it. Eventually Nick Smith can feed Hanbury. And Malcheski, and that's clean from the Swans. Jack takes it. He has a runner on the outside. Johnson, they've been in 15 times for 1 goal. It's come on a bit haphazard. The mark not pay. It was touched. Kennedy was a little slow to react. Taking a buffeting in there was Graham. And the siren sounds, which will be a disappointing noise for the Swans players and fans, because they were in the heart of their forward line there and looked likely to be able to create a scoring chance. But they find themselves 3 goals down, Spud, at quarter time.
Oh, it's intriguing. Stephen Milne on fire for the Saints, and the Swans unfortunately hitting the scoreboard, but all behinds. 1 goal, 6.
All right, we'll take a break. It is 5-1-31. Stephen Milne leading the way here. The Saints a 19-point lead to 1-6-12. Outstanding stuff. 5 goals won to 1-6, and they used the ball very well in their forward 50, something the Swans have been the best in the competition at defending. 10 entries for 6 scores, 5 goals won. Danny Frawley and Paul Roos, some quick thoughts from you here at quarter time.
Yeah, I think you hit on the head. Just more efficient. It's 16 inside 50s to 10, but it's 5 goals won for those 10 inside 50s, Spud, and they just used the ball a little bit better.
And Gilbert and Fisher, they've had 7 disposals each, but a lot of the times they've had an extra down there. So the Swans are winning the ball. They're not using it that well. They've either got to engage those defenders or hit the lower target instead of bombing the ball.
Let's get down to Liam Pickering.
Well, we spoke before the game about the fact that the little fellas in the St Kilda forward line have been on fire. Ahmed Saad and Stephen Milne. Well, Stephen Milne was superb in that first quarter. Had 5 touches, kicked 3 goals. Got a couple of funny ones. He got a couple out the back, which was really unusual, including this goal, which, well, it's one of the best goals you'd see all year. You can see Milne, and he's had a couple of different opponents. He went up early, he was out of the contest, but he never went out of the contest, if you know what I mean. So he's always looking to give off. He there goes around the corner and snaps it into a really tricky breeze. So he has been the dominant player in this first quarter. They'll need to shut him down, and Nick Smith's the man for that job.
He's played well and well described by Pickers. Not sure whether his wholly intent was to give it off. Stephen, it's an amazing quarter of football. You've got to make the most of your opportunities, and Ben McGlynn up the other end, he just didn't make the most of his opportunities there. So I'll be looking forward, Roosie, if there's any tuning from the coaching staff, positionally wise, or just a style issue from Sydney.
I think it's a style issue. I think both coaches will now be aware that there's a number behind the ball, and it's now going to be, you can't afford to get it, particularly out of the clearances. I think the Swans have just been banging it out of their clearances, not using their hands and spreading the ball. They're just going to have to slow the ball down a bit. As you said, to take Gilbert, to take Fisher out of the game, their half-backs and Gwilt are just getting far too much of the ball.
So it'll be desperate to get Lewis Jetta into the game. Only the 2 disposals. Clinton Jones doing a very good job.
Second quarter then from the SCG. Saints and Swans, Mumford the tap, but Montagna gets them to centre half forward. Johnson. Short to McVeigh. Smith runs off and gives them something to work with on the wing. He can pop it over to Mumford. He took too long. And the kick does get to the big ruckman eventually on the bounce, so he just had to squeeze out the best he could. Reid!
Oh, good grab.
Gee, he locked onto that one. It really didn't come to him in any sort of fashion.
I'll tell you, that ball was wobbling around. That's the good old-fashioned floater you kick in the warm-up before the game, Spud. That's very, very difficult to mark. He's marked that with his teeth, I think.
I was very good at kicking those floaters, but it was amazing that he actually didn't. It was amazing. He just sort of bobble around. It was a great grab.
Oh, that's shocking off the boot. It's lucky to be a score.
Yeah, he's been kicking it so well this year too, so John Longmire wouldn't have been happy with that. You're 1-7. You know, I'll tell you what, you're sitting in the coaching box at 1-7. You know you can't fluff opportunities against good opposition. And the other side of it, Ledger, is Scotty Waters sitting there at 5-1, knowing that they haven't a lot of the ball, but they're still a fair way in front at the moment.
It's very noticeable, the high ball drop. In these tricky conditions, you want to get your foot onto the ball very, very quickly.
3 goals won last week, Reid after 6 the week before. So he has rediscovered his form. And the Swans will be looking for plenty from their key forward this afternoon.
Just on the breeze, Pickers, just give us a bit of an update on that with that grandstand.
It's a real tricky one, Rosie. From the other side of the ground, you would think it's going towards where St Kilda, the left of screen, where St Kilda are kicking now. On this side, you also can feel the breeze coming down towards the Swans end. Fluky, I would call it, Paul.
Yeah.
Bird into the 50. Reid this time with the ball live in motion.
That's better.
Over to Goods. Doesn't quite get the protection he needed, but he runs in to make sure of it anyway. And the Swans second is on the board.
That's a win on a whole range of things for Sydney, and more importantly, John Longmire and Adam Goods. He engaged Sam Fisher and he won the ball. He actually went past the ball. It wasn't a great kick. You see Fisher and Goods there. You see the quick kick. Goods slipped over, but he's still in the contest. So Sam Fisher spectating the ball, had no awareness of Adam Goods. So 1 up early for the Sydney Swans. Very good goal. Good opening goal. They're still winning the clearances. They just need to make the most of the opportunities like they did on that occasion.
I think that's a good call, Spud. I think they might have to leave Goods for it. That's a pretty poor effort from Sam Fisher. We all rate him highly, but you cannot afford to just let Adam Goods run, get a handball received like that and run into an open goal. So I think Goods staying forward is going to be the way the Swans need to win this game of football today.
Well, it'll do two things. It'll really keep Sam Fisher from running and carrying, because he was probably one of the better players in the first quarter with 7 disposals.
Paul Boyus out of the middle for the Swans, though, and the ball does go over the line and out of bounds.
Well, it's huge discrepancy in the clearances, and if this continues, the clearance domination by the Sydney Swans, 15-7, eventually the dam will break for St Kilda.
Yep.
Mumford worked his way to the front. Sard. Kennedy. And we'll have a ball up.
I just wonder whether the St Kilda coach have made that decision now, Spud, because we saw Fisher to play on Jonathan Brown last week, and it's very unusual for Fisher to have played on any tools. And if we look at the setup now, he's on Goods. Goods is playing as a deep sort of centre-forward type, so it certainly changes very much the dynamics for both teams.
I think they realised they needed him to do that, didn't they? We talked earlier about Dawson's absence going to Fremantle, and that they weren't able to cover it properly, and it was becoming a real worry for them. Goddard up to half forward. Revolt. Kazitsky knocked out of the action. Grundy. Sard. Stole the march there as well. Good play from Johnson there.
Reward's in the hands of the trainers at the moment. He didn't get up too well from that marking contest. He's got the doctor running out there now. There's Nick Rewalt. I'm sure whether he's just winded. I hope he's okay for St Kilda supporters. Let's have a look at the friendly fire from Cozzy.
Cozzy. How many times did that have happened over the years? Cozzy and Rewald run into each other.
They're best of mates. Imagine if they weren't.
Kennedy.
Lucky they're on the same team, Spud.
Oh, and Hanbury rolled into his back there. Advantage. Well, he's paid it, and he's made him take it. In the end, the umpire, McInerney on the spot. McAvoy works it back via Gwilt. He could have gone to Fisher, but is more aggressive in his approach. Takes it to Dempster first. That'll put them on high alert up the ground because he's coming. He's kicking it in there quickly. Milne reacted beautifully in the air, but didn't take the mark. Had help out the back from Jones. And his kick was hurried and not very effective at all.
Often in the blustery conditions too, Spud, and you've played obviously fullback all your career, it's very hard for key forwards to read it. But Milne, I mean, it's a lot easier for the smalls because there's a lot of crumb ball. The ball just floats around. We saw that even when Milne going for the mark down on Nick Smith. The ball just seems to be floating around a lot out there today.
It gets in the Jetta's hands, which has been rare so far today. And this is why they try and stop him, because few can. Kicked it into the 50. Wasn't pretty. It was effective. Kieran Jack turned around and just went bang.
Super goal.
And they are back.
And that's the trademark Sydney Swans goal right there. If you were to pick a game style at the moment of the Swans, and there's a blood rule, I think it's Graham coming off, but the game style of the Swans, here it is. Jetta getting out, Jetta using his pace, getting through, and then kicking it over the top into space to a midfielder running, which is Kieran Jack. So that's just a classic Sydney Swans goal, the way they've been getting a lot of their scoring this year. Great goal. Good finish by Kieran Jack.
Do you know the one thing about that goal, and it wasn't a great kick by Lewis Jetta, but it did go to the right side. It went to the left foot side of Kieran Jack, so it bounced up perfectly for him. So I would give him a big tick for that kick.
And that's the importance of Clinton Jones doing a really good defensive job on Lewis Jetta. You can see what happens if your concentration wanes for half a second.
And I think, Hado, you asked me in the first quarter about, and there's the score sources too, the stoppages. You see, dominating the stoppages, the Swans, but they've only had 3 scoring opportunities. Turnovers there getting their scores from the Swans, and a balance there between the stoppages and turnovers for St Kilda. But you mentioned Jones in the first quarter, why he'd be 10 metres goal side, and that's the reason, Hado, because you just can't let Jetta get outside you like that.
You saw Rewalt there, looks fine there, Nick Rewalt, which is great news.
I know that's good in theory, Reece. I watched that happen last week as well, and Jetta's such a good kick that even if he doesn't get it goal side, he can still kick it from 50 metres.
Yeah, you're right. You don't want to do that close to the goals, close to the Swans' goals, but you'd rather him spot kick it and run and travel the back half of the ground.
The worry for St Kilda at the moment is Sydney are winning all the critical contests this quarter. Contested possessions.
All right, in the back. In the back to Gilbert.
Yeah, they're just not getting hold of the football at the moment. They haven't had anything for the centre yet, have they, at St Kilda? The Swans have come out absolutely on fire in the second quarter.
Here's Johnson. So the line out of bounds. Have another look at that free. Let's look for the interference in the back.
Gee.
Another look there. Here's Nick Rewalt and his best mate Cozzy. Gives the elbow to the scone.
If it could have been reported hitting your own teammate, Cozzy might have got a dozen more weeks over his career for Belton Rewalt, wouldn't he?
Bolton to...
He's got to shout him once during the week.
That's a full-on elbow to the noggin.
And that could be in the back as well.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a really poor tackle. Who's that? Is that Armitage, was it?
Dempster, was it?
Dempster. Geez, a poor tackle. The guy's on the ground already, so he's not going to do much, and then you just fall into his back. Particularly 15 metres out, just about directly in front. As we see it here, so they've gone. He's not going to do anything there. Just hold his jumper, hold him up, roll him over. Just don't fall into his back. It's just a gift here for McGlynn.
Well, Ben McGlynn has struggled in front of goals so far today. He's kicked 3 behind so far, but he changes that now. There's his first.
Well, it's all the second quarter of the Sydney Swans. You have a look at they're now getting reward for effort, Brucey. This wasn't happening in the first quarter. And the start of this second quarter, the clearances are even, the contested possessions doubled, 14-7. They've now had 6 inside 50s for 3 goals.
Yeah.
It was probably very similar in the first quarter, but it was 8 inside 50s for 1 goal, 4.
It's the Goods move back forward. I think that's the critical move. Goods engaging Fisher, and it's a poor tackle that.
Very clumsy.
I just think, without harping on it, I think the Goods move forward, Spud, is really engaged now, Fisher. You've just noticed Goddard's now gone back behind the ball. O'Keefe did that. Interesting tactics from the coach. O'Keefe did it in the first quarter when St Kilda were on top. Now we've got Goddard behind the ball. But Fisher playing on the key, I actually like that because I think they've got to do that, but it does take a tactic away from them, and it's allowed the Swans to get right back in this game.
Well, much more efficient too in this quarter. 6 inside 50s for 3 goals. We know how much they butchered the ball in the first quarter.
Yep.
So you can see the look on the St Kilda players' faces that they know they have to respond straight away. They got it in there quickly. Graham had the shot for goal. It was a behind. Richards back to the wing. Now Goddard just got half a yard here on Pike. But
good pressure from Pike.
Yeah, couldn't handle it cleanly. Jones.
Well done, Mike Pike.
To Goods. McGlynn bolts away to give him something along the line, and that's so effective.
Well, it was great play because Goddard's the loose man, and Mike Pike made him earn that ball.
Kieran Jack's got away, and the Swans could be in front here.
Yeah, they're getting everything they want now, the Swans. Their forward line's open. Their midfielders are running in the forward 50.
Not an easy shot, particularly if there's wind to consider.
Yeah. How's that there, Pickers, from where he's kicking it?
I reckon if he keeps it low, it'd be going right post here. It should just blow the other side, hopefully.
Well, just under the 50% probability from there with the AFL averages for Kieran Jack. But that's... and it just moved late, didn't it?
No, good call, Pickers. He aimed it just inside the left-hand post. If he had aimed at that right post, it would have went straight to the middle. This is great effort from Pike because, as you called, Druzy, Goddard's the free play for St Kilda, and you've got to make him earn his possessions. And pretty disappointing from Goddard on that effort there, running over the loose ball. Bad
ground ball, wasn't it, Spud? You've got to take them really cleanly, and then you dish off for handball, and then obviously the ball goes the other way.
And already a mini win for Johnny Longmire. Sam Fisher having a spell on the bench.
Yep.
Kick bomb back to the wing. Kazitsky made his presence felt, but the Swans are winning all those 50-50 balls. Malcheski into Roberts-Thomson. Gwilt was able to parry it away. Goddard gets it back to Gwilt. And now into Del Santos, hands at half back, being pursued by Bird. He uses Dempster as a path out. He kicks to the wing, a hard lead from Revolt. He's had to cover a lot of territory, but that's something that's not foreign to him.
Pushing the back.
A little bit of downfield action, or it's going to come back?
It'll come back, I think, Haddad, because it was just pushed just before the kick.
This is the opposite of the first half of the first quarter, isn't it? That was when the Swans were struggling to get it inside 50. Now St Kilda are. The ball use St Kilda now has dropped dramatically, and the Swans has picked up.
Shuffle down there. Was it in the back? Sipos thought it was against Johnson.
Should have been, I think. Wasn't a realistic attempt to mark by Johnson, and got Sipos out of the way, so he was a bit unlucky there, Sipos.
So scores are level at the SCG after the Saints were out of the block so quickly. Now no one gets to that boundary throw in. Normally they throw it in about 40 metres these days, so that one dropping a bit short. McAvoy comes late but takes the mark. Saints need to lock it in, which they've done to some extent. Gwilt.
A lot of Sydney players here.
Yeah. Look at Goods come over the top. Almost dragged it down, but not quite. Try getting a meaningful possession in there. Kennedy was able to somehow. Grundy's kick is smothered though. It's always the danger. And they've moved it on again through Richards to McGlynn. And somehow he escapes. Although the peril hasn't passed necessarily yet, because this is where the Saints have so many bodies camped. Simpkin revs it up one more time up into the 50. Big Cozzy got a couple of hands to it off the ground. I think it was Snyder. It was touched on the way through.
By Johnson. Like kick to kick at the moment.
Yeah. Now the Saints are just bombing it in.
They are.
They've got to pick a short target and lower their eyes. They're just bombing it in. There's a lot of numbers back for the Swans.
Now Chesty goes to Goods, who just got a little bit ahead of himself there. Thought he'd taken the mark and hadn't, so the ball over the boundary line at half forward.
It's an interesting tactical game at the moment. And there's Snides with a little bit of cotton ball hanging out of his snoz. Not a good look, that, Spud.
Not a good look at all.
3-2 to 2 behinds.
Just again, another just bomb in. And there was a short, was that Sard?
Yep.
Sard was just on the lead. He was 10 metres clear of his opponent. It was a poor kick. Was that Jack Stevens?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, just a poor kick.
So Nick Rewalt's off the ground at the moment. So the other half forwards have got an opportunity to get dangerous.
Yep.
And again, the 50 not cleared at this stage. Bird, Bolton. He bounced up successfully for Melcheski. Oh, this is what we'd like to see. Jenner involved in a foot race. He didn't pick it up cleanly, didn't have to initially.
That's smart play by Jones. Did not commit at all and said, no, you aren't going to run past me.
Well, he looked up and he had Dempster was free for St Kilda. So that's smart play from the Swans. They've learned from their errors in the first quarter there. They've got a lot of composure now.
This is Johnson again.
That was his best.
Sipos anticipation.
It was a beautiful kick of the ball. He's got to be patient.
Well, there's nothing for him. They are outnumbered down there, so he went for the one-on-one he could see. Kaczynski, he almost did enough to be paid. The Swans swarming everywhere. Shaw got into full stride very quickly and then assessed the situation. Maybe didn't quite get it right, but no damage yet. Bolton back to Shaw. Momentum, it's all running Sydney's way at the moment. High ball, Mike Pike got taken out. Play on was the call. And Dempster able to recover first. But there's nothing for him out that side. So he has to handball back to Gwilt. And a lot of traffic cops out there pointing, telling him where to go. And it's Fisher.
Wasn't a great kick by Reece Shaw going inside 50. No. Really, he should have really held the ball up and waited for an option.
Well, that was a good play by Sean Dempster. The crowd's booing this free kick. But I thought his body work was okay there, Spud. And even his composure going the other way to come back this side. And now it's up to the Saints just to pick off. It's a really hard kick to do that one now with the forward presses.
Roberts-Thomson gets it in. The Saints almost fight amongst each other, but Fisher takes the mark.
Well, it was a silly kick from Goddard, but it was a silly kick from Sydney in the end because they knew that Goddard was free. They had to go long to the top of the square on that occasion.
Fisher goes for Revolt. He's got 2 to contend with, and Richards brings it down. What a stellar season he's had. We talked about it so much. Now, Revolt's a bit sore there. That knee, which is an ongoing problem for him. It's causing him a lot of pain at the moment.
He's really sore, Hutto. He can barely work down.
Good grab.
Reed marks. Goods slipped out the back door looking for it, but
well, Goods going forward, it meant that Ben McAvoy and Fisher were focusing on Adam Goods, as you talked about, Rosie, and then Ben Reid. You love that matchup one-on-one on Gwilt.
9 goals in the last couple of weeks for Reid. This one's just away to the left.
There's no doubt as we see Adam Goods coming off for a breather. Goods, he's only had 2 possessions this quarter, but he's been a significant factor in the game because it's opened up the ground. You see Rewall just limping through the middle of the ground there. He doesn't look comfortable at all, Hutto.
No, it's something that he's learnt to deal with, I guess, with that injury.
Well, he's got nothing to kick out here. I'm not sure why he came out this way.
It wasn't a good handball to Hayes, even under the circumstances. Turbulent
times. They're in trouble now.
Turbulent times for the St Kilda defence at the moment. Gilbert goes to the wing. Richards engaged early there.
Well, you can see why Teddy Richards is the #1 ranked player in the competition, intercepting opposition kicks.
Yeah,
he just reads the play beautifully.
Great early body work there on Kaczynski.
Really good.
Yeah.
Got it to Johnson and then to O'Keefe. Bit by bit, they're advancing again. O'Keefe guides this for Mumford, who's worked himself into a dangerous position, takes the mark and will line them up.
The half forward, Cozzy or Rewalt, they just have to halve the contest. They don't have to mark the ball. Ted Richards has marked the last 2 rebounds from St Kilda, and it's come back with interest. They've got to work harder in the air, Riewoldt and Cozzy.
Absolutely, Spud. Poor contest by Cozzy, that last one. Really poor.
Shane Mumford, just 4 goals for the season. Did a really good job last week against the West Coast Ruckman, but he's missed this one to the left. It's a behind.
You just look at their forwards this quarter. It's not entirely their fault, mind you. The ball hasn't been up there a lot, but Sard 1, Cozzy 2, Sipos 3, Riewoldt 4. So they're just not using the ball and giving their forwards a chance. But you're right, Cozzy's got to be better, at least halving those contests when they come out to this area. Here's another one that's not halved. Mumford takes that mark.
They're not reading the play either.
Grundy bombs again. Pike shuffles his way to the front.
There's the difference. There's the difference, Spud. 2v1 against the Swans. Swans win it. 2v1 for the Swans on the other side. The Swans win both of contests.
If someone asks you why are Sydney Swans ranked number 1 in defence, get the last 3 minutes of play. Just get the last 3 minutes in play and you'll see why.
Have a look at this mark from Pike. If you don't mind, what a player he's become. Someone just needs to learn to teach him how to kick.
And that's why he's in the team, not for his kicking, but for the contest, because that's what they love about him. He'll compete, and without labouring the point, Spud, you talk about Cozzy and McAvoy on the other side, that you've got to make that. You've got to make that contest. You've got to bring the ball to ground. I think like he's 1 goal 5 from set shots. There's another one.
There's Riewoldt and Cozzy, and watch Mumford mark the ball.
And drills it into Kennedy. Eventually they'll have to convert here.
Now, it wasn't a great kick, all right, I'll wear that. But the ball's in the air for a long time. You have to somehow say, well, it's not working for me. I'll just halve a contest. Just build me game from getting some body on Mumford, get some body on Richards, get some body on Grundy.
And they've kicked 3 goals 5 for the quarter, 4 goals 11 for the match. Josh Kennedy, he's got it to come back. And finally they break it through for a goal, and they're in front by 8 now.
They actually needed that goal because before that they were 1 goal 5 from set shots. Now it's 2 goals 5. So they're dominating in all the main areas in the game now, and they're starting to use the ball better. But it's been the contested possessions. They're just getting smacked in the air. So have a look at that. Mumford, Riewoldt, Cozzy, and they're looking around. Didn't even man the mark. Now, to me, that was really ordinary effort there. You can see that the lack of manning the mark here. Shane Mumford just goes back and drills the pass. So if you're in the game, you've got to kick it over your fingernails.
The kicking efficiency for this quarter, St Kilda, is down at 52%. I think it was 68 in the first quarter. The
body language we just saw then, when Mumford, he should have kicked the ball over the fingernails, was unacceptable from the St Kilda Tools.
All right, so the Saints need to get going, and quickly. Sard, Shaw, he's standing up, so he gets away with it. It's a ball up at half forward.
It's been a really poor 15 minutes from St Kilda. Well done, the Swans come out after quarter time, but really poor 15-20 minutes from the Saints.
Hayes and Del Santo, Armitage.
Well, St Kilda going 52% foot by foot, Sydney 62. But it's the contested possessions, not only on the ground, in the air as well. That'd be the disappointing part for the St Kilda coaching staff at the moment.
Inside 50s 14-7 too. They've been a bit critical of their forwards, but they haven't had it in the forward line. They haven't been able to get it out of their defence.
Well, really, there was just that 1 5-minute period, wasn't it, where they were in with some repeat inside 50s for the rest of the quarter. It's been total domination by the Sydney Swans, who now lead by 8, turning this game around, turning it on its head, really. Hayes couldn't get it through. McAvoy, McVeigh, they're swarming again, the Swans, with determination and clean ball to use.
Another clearance too.
Bombs it up. Gilbert couldn't take it cleanly, so Goods, and now they can go to work through the middle. Kennedy, Roberts-Thomson, the instant give. Maybe not that smart, but Hanbury made it look okay. McGlynn, devastating stuff for the Swans. Over the top, Jetta popped it up high, and there was nothing Graham could do about it. Hanbury takes the mark.
But, Hunter, that was another contest that Sydney were outnumbered. A key tall, Reid brought the ball to ground. I think it was Sammy Reid in the middle of the ground. A 1v2 down, and that's not happening at the other end with the St Kilda Tools. They really need to take a lesson out of the Swans Tools book. Just create a contest, and that contest was created by Reid, now resulting in a shot at goal from Dan Hanbury.
I'll tell you what, he was lucky to be paid that mark. It was definitely touched.
Well, I was going to say, they were protesting very strongly, so we might have another look at it if he converts here. Sydney and St Kilda have both kicked 5 goals today, but that doesn't tell the full story. The Swans have kicked 12 behinds, and St Kilda 3, and they lead by 9 now.
And 2 goals, 6 from set shots. That's the real damning stat. And they weren't on acute angles.
I mean, this has been a smacking spot in the second quarter.
Oh,
They're really lucky because it's 10 scoring shots to 2, 15 inside 50s to 8. I tell you, the Swans coaching staff would be very, very nervous at the lack of scoreboard pressure, and Scotty Waters would know that he's really lucky to be this close.
Stephen back out to the wing. Revolt's got a mountain of work
better.
to do.
Yeah,
created a contest.
And Snyder gathers in impressive fashion, waiting for someone to help him. Goddard was that someone. Revolt knew that he couldn't grab it. Bolton was there. Clever play. The experienced Saints have done this on their own, and unfortunately Snyder couldn't capitalise. It wasn't an easy shot.
No, it's better play that, and that's all you want from your half forwards. That's where you'll get the inside 50s, creating a contest.
It's going to spring back pretty quickly, though. They better be on high alert. Hanbury to a one-on-one. Goods has got Gwilt done through the air, and he doesn't mark. And the Saints might escape here, although Goods is saying it's going to make it as difficult for you as possible. Not a good time to lose your footing at half-back. He was just about gone. McGlynn put the head down, and away he goes.
So Adam Goods has only had 3 disposals this quarter, but he's created so many contests, and he's kept Sammy Fisher really quiet.
Short to McVeigh. Didn't like the look of the option one way, so he thought he'd find another one. They are just completely helpless, the Saints defence at the moment. There's arms up, there's pointing going on.
Well, they are, because Fisher was really dominant in that first quarter. He's only had the 3 disposals this quarter. I mean, you can say Adam Goods, oh, well, he's only had 3. But it's the impact in the coaching box to spot Adam Goods there and say, you just provide a contest and really give us a strong contest and make sure Sam Fisher doesn't get on his bike.
Josh Kennedy up to 16 disposals for the day. And this one is coming back, but not enough.
I think you're absolutely right, Spud. Massive advantage Swans at the moment with that matchup. It's taken Fisher away. He's had 3 possessions. Goods is creating a contest, but it's changed the complexity of the game. And you're right, Ardo. The Saints look all at sea at the moment defensively. I don't think they know through the midfield who's picking who up at the moment. They just need to lock down and get hold of some 50-50 balls and slow the game down a bit.
Well, you've talked about, obviously, the St Kilda's Rewalt and Kaczynski obviously struggling. 8 marks to Sydney inside 50 to 0.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing, though, is just how good the Sydney side is. Their midfield is so good.
And how good their defence is.
Yeah, but it's all part of it, isn't it? And they work so well together. Simkin up and under.
There's another mark
for
from a
Del
defender.
Santo there. He was 6-1. Matner to O'Keefe. They are red hot at the moment, the Swans. The only thing they can't do is kick straight. Dempster, the former Swan, takes the mark.
And that's a kick by O'Keefe. You'd love to have that one back because you just can't kick. That was the one they were doing the first quarter, was getting no results. So O'Keefe's an experienced player. He needs to lower his eyes, take his time, and just hit a short target, a la what was that Del Santo just did that the Rewalt.
Yeah, this is better strategy from the Saints. Down to a one-on-one though. McVeigh won't give ground easily to Geary. He sneaks out the back. Geary, clever kick. Kaczynski has to really, he just couldn't get there. It was just too much on the kick. You see the wind played a bit of a part. Now Smith's gone to ground here, but the umpire decides it's a ball up.
Yeah, better ball used by the Saints. So just hit that lead-up target in Rewalt, and then a nice kick to advantage over the top. I think it was to Geary, and then another nice kick. But you're right, just a little bit long for Cozzy to mark it, but in a dangerous area here.
They need to manufacture a goal, don't they?
No, they do.
Just
do for their confidence.
Somehow find one, lock it in, and find a goal. And then they're right in touch in the game on the scoreboard. They're only 9 points down, but they haven't kicked the goal for the quarter, and the Swans have kicked 4-7.
And this, over the last 4 or 5 years, is where their stars have jumped up in this forward 50 stoppage spot. Just someone has traditionally kicked a goal out of nowhere.
A lot of St Kilda players this quarter have been on the back foot there around the contest.
So Mumford, just some concerns there. Like a knee he was talking about, but he doesn't look too distressed. And again, it's Bird and the mark paid, which seemed to surprise the players around. Roberts-Thomson still camped in the back pocket. Malcheski heaves it out of there. Saints have a 2-1 advantage, and Simpkin stands his ground and takes the mark. Maybe caught one in the eye as well. He wants to get rid of it quickly. He's hurt. He's hurt, Simpkin. His eye.
Can't see.
Yeah, no, he's going to have to come off.
Snyder up into the 50.
He's no good, Tommy Simpkin.
I think that contest, though, we've talked a lot about the 2-on-1s or the 1-on-2 spot. That's why it's so hard to be a key forward now, because with the zones and guys dropping back and presses, and it's not just a 1-on-1 contest with the centre back all day. You've got guys dropping back and you're dealing with different situations. So that's why a lot of times those key forwards just go out of the game for periods of time because of that reason. We can see Simpkin there just getting his eye looked at.
Well, we've got it to half-time here, the Saints, so he'll have a bit of recovery. Let's hope he's okay. The siren sounds to end a quarter, which is not completely fulfilling for the Sydney Swans. They absolutely dominated. They've kicked 4-7, and they've restricted the Saints to just 3 behinds. So they have a 9-point lead, which I'm sure they'd take given where they were at quarter time, but it could have been a lot better for them. But it leaves it open for the second half, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. 11 scoring shots to 3.
Let's get down to Liam Pickering, who's amongst the Swans down there.
Yeah, I'd be very happy with their effort. They dominated contested possessions in that quarter, the Swans, and really put a stamp on this game when they really were struggling in the first quarter. Much better ball use. They'd be right up and about. I think they'd be a little bit disappointed they kicked 4 goals, 7, but overall it was a very good second quarter by the Swans, and I expect them at this stage to be really happy with their effort.
Well, this is the top of the ladder team we're talking, and they can consolidate that. If they win today, they'll go back to the top where they went at the end of last week. They lead by 9. Game now being played on their terms. It's a big game at the SCG. Stay with us as round 17 continues. I'm with Liam Pickering.
Scotty, a really promising start, but not such a good second quarter.
Yeah, they were very good around the contest. I mean, contested possession, I think we're minus 22 down. So, you know, we've put it on the group to rectify that, and particularly Kennedy's impact around the stoppage. He's a good player, but our players need to take some responsibility for him.
And Nick Rewalt seemed to be a little bit sore. How's he?
We'll see how he goes in the first sort of 10 minutes of this quarter. Hopefully he's okay, but the medicos will check him out at the end of probably 5 or 6 minutes.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, mate.
And of course their rooms are quite a distance away. What are you laughing at, Spud?
Oh no, the Pickers there it was hard for him to walk so quick. Scotty was walking quick. He probably was great to get the interview, and it was hard to keep the microphone on his mouth. But just interesting what he talked about. You could see he was pretty flat though, Rosie, wasn't he? He was pretty flat there, Scotty Watters. He needs something. One of his generators. Lenny Hayes has been really quiet. Goddard, as we spoke about, quiet, and of course the 2 tall forwards.
I apologise to the viewers for, because we're laughing. We're not laughing at St.Kilda. It was a joke that Spud cracked. We won't say what it was, but
it's to do with Liam Pickering.
Yeah, a little bit to do with Pickers. But I think the concerns were the contested footy, but also I think also the Rewalt-Cozzy thing. We've always seen problems with that a little bit, Spud, just in all seriousness. They've got to get some separation, and they've got to get a little bit more dangerous. Goddard's the other one that needs to get back in the game. There's no question. 6 possessions, Spud, just not a good enough. I'd like to see him go to Kennedy. Now, I don't know whether he will, but Gotti wanted to talk before the game and at half-time about contested football. Someone's got to arrest that. Kennedy's had 18 possessions, 10 contested possessions, and maybe Goddard is the one that's just got to, you've got to throw in the challenge. They've got to do something to change the momentum of this game.
Either that, or put him in the goal square and force him to compete.
Yeah.
We know he can take a mark. It'd be a hard matchup.
All right, third quarter. Big challenge put down by the St Kilda coach. Let's see if his hard-nosed midfielders can respond. They are being smashed in the contested possession, 78 to 55. They haven't been able to win that battle even in recent visits to the SCG. So that's where they're looking for that turnaround. Revolt deep into the 50. Richards is there, and so is Snyder. He was fully committed to the footy, which was good, but the extra numbers prevail. Little jump, little hurdle getting ready there for the Olympics from Teddy Richards. And the ball goes over the line and out of bounds.
Well, it's a better start. A couple of contest wins and a bit fiercer at the football. Let's see what happens at this clearance.
And Armitage really hit in hard. The Swans had the answers. O'Keefe, Hayes gets a hand to it. Out to Jack. They're so good with their tight little handballs, the Swans. No escape this time.
Well, there's one-on-ones all over the ground, so it's a positive for all the players. There's no confusion there. There's no extra at the moment off the clearances.
They're able to hack it in, the Saints. The bounce favoured Revolt, and can he capitalise? No.
I think also Goodsy's forward. We mentioned that in the second quarter. Even though Goods hasn't had a big game personally, there's no question that Longmire and coaching staff will be really happy with his performance, because he's really engaged Fisher now, and that changed the game in the second quarter.
McVeigh to Shaw. Scampering after him was Jones. Up to the wing, close to the line, and it's over. And just keeping an eye on Jetta at the moment. Montagne's with him, but I think Jones is working his way back to him now.
Great performance from Clinton Jones. Only the 6 disposals for Lewis Jetta, and 5 of his kicks. He's going at 40%, so he's putting a lot of heat on the disposals when he does win it, which has been rare.
Montagne, but Shaw has that one covered. A little bit of uncertainty about where that kick was headed, but sorts itself out. McGlynn into the middle, and they look dangerous again. Jack waits. O'Keefe's got himself 10 metres into the clear. Goods pushing hard back to the goal scorer. He's all on his own. Mismanagement by the St Kilda defence.
Well, I'm pretty sure Brendan Goddard's direct opponent at that occasion was Kieran Jack.
Yeah.
And he just opened up the leg rope far too long. It was about 30 metres, just assuming. And I'm pretty sure the runner's going to bring Brendan Goddard straight off pickers.
Yeah, they wouldn't be happy with that effort. You heard Scotty Waters at half-time. It's crucial they to get a good start in this third quarter, and that wasn't ideal. It was a great transition by the Swans all the same.
It was, and Goods comes in. Kicking for goal's been a real issue for them today, but that one's through. Extends the margin. Out to 14 points. The other good bit of play there was Sam Reid. He led into the pocket, which let Goods on his own. I want to talk more about Goddard, perhaps.
Well, the build-up here is we're just having a look off camera. Now, I'm pretty sure there's Brendan Goddard. So he was his direct opponent on that occasion. Not sure whether it was his match-up at the start, but in that passage of play, the leg rope I was watching, he had to man him up. It was the only place they could go down the middle, give the defenders no chance after that.
Yeah, and you can see that Sam Fisher didn't know what to do. He had Jude Bolton leading in front of him. He had Adam Goods behind him. So it certainly wasn't Sam Fisher's fault.
Well, when the ball goes through the middle, the defender, you've got nowhere to go. You've got no area to defend.
No.
Well, it's out to 14 now and threatening to get worse. Jetta back to Shaw. Good pressure from behind. Well, it's out according to the umpire. McVeigh, and once it's out, it can be dangerous for the Saints. Johnson wobbles one. Back to the wing. Good work, Montagna and Del Santo. And eventually Dempster it is that thumps it deep. Kaczynski has to hit it hard. He did. He brought it to ground. Sard, who's been very quiet, just the one disposal thus far. Down to Liam.
Well, Sydney have made a sub. They've subbed Mumford out of the game at the start of this third quarter, and Everett's come onto the ground. So,
well, he's injured. Liam, he has to be, because remember we saw them working on his knee?
Yeah, he did have an ice pack on as he was walking off, but they wouldn't take a risk with him because he's such an important player, Shane Mumford.
Gee, let's hope he's okay in the long term.
That's a big opportunity now for McAvoy and Cozzy to work over Mike Pike. Big responsibility now for Mike Pike. This might have been the injury in the second. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he landed the ankle roll.
Yeah. Like it. Yeah. Well, as he walked off at half-time, it certainly had an ice bag on it.
Well, I think that's the luxury of having now Pike, Mumford and Lewis Roberts-Thomson, because even though Mumford goes off pickers, you've still got a second ruckman in Lewis Roberts-Thomson. That's the importance of Mike Pike's form at the moment.
And especially when Cozzy goes into the ruck, he's not a recognised ruckman, so Lewis Roberts-Thomson will be able to match him up.
Yep, absolutely.
Mike Pike and McAvoy.
But gee, in terms of the season, if it was to be, let's hope it's not a serious knee injury, but if he's out for weeks, it's going to make a difference to the Swans, as Armitage does the best he could there, but it's out of bounds on the foot.
We actually saw last night's game, Josh Drummond did a similar thing, landed with a straight leg. So, not sure whether there was much damage. I think there was with Drummond, but you just worry about Big Mumford because he's had some injury problems this year.
No, you do. It looked like on the, we're not doctors up here, but it looked like his left ankle was the area of concern. So he jumps up and lands on that left leg.
Yeah, but the knee is what he
his left leg landed on Josh Kennedy's foot.
It looked like he rolled his ankle, but he also looked like he jarred his knee as well.
Well, he certainly had ice on his knee at half-time.
Jones gets it into the 50. At least it's spending some time in their forward half at the moment. As Malcheski and Goddard come into frame, about 30 metres off this stoppage. Goddard directing traffic. Yeah.
Big second half for Goddard's part, I really think. He's got to get his way into the game. He's got to win some contests, and you could just sense the frustration of his coach on the couch the other weekend before the game. I just think they're a bit frustrated with him at the moment.
Jack with a low-flying ball. Did well then, Goddard. Brought it to ground. It meant that it was still alive there. High ball, sky ball from Stephen, and well followed by Gilbert, who takes the mark.
No, it was good for the defenders, just making them accountable down there. So their second mark inside their forward 50, and it comes from a defender.
So Snyder kicking it in, and Gilbert takes the mark, and he'll line them up. There's a good grab. It's conversion all important now for Gilbert. He's kicked 6-5 for the year, and the probability is that he'll kick it. But it is a defender, and it is a goal.
Back him in.
Well, they definitely needed something there, Spud, because they've really struggled for the last 35 minutes. There's no question. The second quarter was horrible. The start of this quarter was horrible. So just manufacturing something out of nothing, but kicking into a dangerous area. And that's a nice mark, just pushing down Gilbert from, looks like he's playing on the wing or half back. So they've just got to do something different and make it a one-on-one contest inside their own forward 50 now. At least put some pressure on the Swans defenders who've had it their own way most of the half.
First goal since the opening quarter when Saad kicked what was their 5th goal. And it comes from Gilbert. An unlikely source off half back. That's where he is at the moment. O'Keefe, Montagna.
Well, Brendan Goddard has pushed forward now. It looks like he's nearly playing full forward. And I don't mind this because that's a pretty good matchup for St Kilda. Alex Johnson, he wouldn't like, he's a really good defender, but if he plays a key post, it might be a matchup St Kilda can get an advantage out of.
You can see he's big enough. What is he, 6'3"?
Yep.
He's a big guy, Goddard, and he can catch it. So he's definitely got to do something. Even if he can get out of this second half with 2 or 3 goals from the full forward position, that's a win.
Malcheski quickly, it was touched. Simpkin was able to realise that quick enough. The wrestle on the wing.
Hands in the back.
Interference against McVeigh. They take the advantage. Hayes summed it up well. Stephen charging in towards goal. Thumping, ignored the Kazitsky lead, which is interesting. Preferred Sipos. Johnson did well. Strides out of defence to Smith, to Malcheski. They'll click into gear here, the Swans. McLean, Fisher coming hard at him. It goes through the middle. Gilbert, the Saints digging in here. Quick kick, Montagna to centre half forward. Just away from Sipos. He kept his foot for a while, but in the end he couldn't. Matner farmed it off nicely to Richards and then to the wing to Kennedy, who takes the mark, has a glance inside. There's plenty on offer for him, and he finds one of those opportunities. It's Bolton, long kick for Reid, one-on-one with Gwilt, who'll try and spoil, but he did effectively in the end because he had much needed assistance from Gilbert.
Yeah, it was a good effort by Gilbert to get across there, identify that it was a genuine one-on-one. It looked like Reid was going to win that contest. Good effort by Gilbert.
To Dempster and then to Revolt. So the margin stands at 8. Nick Revolt under some duress after copying a couple and coming off the worst for wear. Drives to half forward to Kazitsky. Now here's Sipos a moment ago. Gee, that should have been a
That's
free.
high.
Nice round arm to the head. That's a free kick every day of the week.
But St Kilda, Sydney will love that, Rosie. So Nick Revolt marks the ball on the half-back flank. He looks up and kicks to a contest with Cozzy on the wing. So that means Goddard will have to have an impact in the forward line if that trend continues.
Malcheski, the Swans just not getting out of defence. The clean exits that they were in that second term. Revolt thumping it. That's the dangerous kick, but playing in front, Ted Richards.
Oh, he's just had a super year, Ted Richards. It's unbelievable. I think he's had 23 goals kicked again. He's in rare vein at the moment. I think it's only 6 goals the last 5 matches.
When you're playing in that on the number 1 forward, you are going to concede some goals, aren't you, along the journey?
Yeah.
As Matner misses a very rare target.
The boundary umpire off the duck then? That was a good effort by the boundary umpire.
We didn't think they would have that much agility, Rosie?
No, God liked the way he kept his eye on the ball and he saw it coming, read it well, Spud, ducked.
Very good play.
Nice.
Del Santo looking for Goddard. Kazitsky. Sipos. O'Keefe, Kennedy, expertise, terrific again in tight. Johnson lets him down a little with an initial fumble, but he recovered well. That's out on the floor,
I reckon it was out of bounds before it had his foot, to be perfect. I just got a beautiful view of it down here.
He actually slipped in the hand pass onto his foot.
Oh, Del Santo takes it quickly. Milne's at the back.
That's a wasted kick.
Yeah, it is.
Completely wasted kick.
We got Brendan got it down. Just have a look at Henry. He gets the ball and fumbles. Yeah, good decision.
Good call.
But you're right, Rosie. You've got Brendan Goddard there on half a lead. You kick to a 2-on-2 where the forwards cannot move, and all the defender has to do is spoil it over through from behind.
Yeah. You've got to
think your way through it.
Yeah, Del Santo's a nice decision, make a good kick. But you've got to get better out of that. Yeah, Johnny Longmire on screen there. It's just you'd be a bit nervous. This is a nervous time of the game because you've dominated probably the last 45 minutes, but you're just not. You haven't got reward on the scoreboard.
That's
6-13.
That's exactly, Rosie, what I was going to say. Whilst we're talking about what Swans are doing right, we're talking about how much St Kilda are doing wrong.
Yep.
The reality is it's 7 points.
Yep.
And St Kilda are chance pickers. If they can just generate something here for the next 5 minutes, they're right in this game.
Absolutely.
Well, they've responded to the coach. They're winning the contested possession in this quarter, 18-14. Snyder, he goes with depth. He goes for Goddard. He couldn't get a run at it. Could not get a run at it.
Also, the clearance is 7-3. St Kilda's favour too, Hutto.
But there's another just poor kick. That's Del Santo and Snyder, two of your more talented players and better decision makers. And speaking of kicks, really sure, but last two entries have been horrible for the Saints forwards. No chance to actually mark the football.
Yeah, kick the ball to space. Yeah. Allow the forward to run and jump.
They've been inside 50 11 times to 3.
Well, they dominated the start of this quarter.
The Swans just not having that effective exit this quarter either, as they spoil each other, the Swans. Goddard, complexion of this game's just changed a little. Geary, a throw, so it'll be a Sydney ball. They played the advantage.
That's
unfortunate. They would never have taken the advantage, I don't think, if they'd known. Jones, O'Keefe, they might be able to get out here, the Swans. Revolt has other ideas. Good team tackling by the Saints.
But if you're sitting at home, you'd think, well, there must be a 4 or 5 goal breeze or a win to the right of screen. The game's been played to the right. It's just, it'll be a 1 or 2 goal breeze, do you think, Pickers?
No, look, as I say, you can score at both ends, Spud. I know that most of the scoring's been done to the right of screen, but I mean, you can score at the other end. I just think that St Kilda have brought out a really strong mindset in this third quarter.
No, it's a positive start.
Just judging by the look on Scotty Waters' face as he was speaking to you, Liam, I reckon he would have given them a bit of a spray at half-time.
Yeah, I would have thought so. He'd be disappointed with that dish up in the second quarter, but as I say, they've certainly responded early, but they haven't got the score on the board.
Well, you're right, Pickers. 12 inside 50s for 1 goal. And the Swans have been in 3 times for 1.
Oh, it's opened up here for Milne. The Swans so indecisive on the way out, and Saad comes in and misses.
That was selfish. Selfish, because he was in the goal square by himself. That's the sort of stuff you don't want to see. And that's sometimes when you're having a bad day and you haven't touched it. This is what you like to see. Really nice give, nice dish, and we can't actually see him there on the top of the screen, but nice left-handed handball spud over the top. Yep. Go the Goose, thanks for coming, goal.
And the thing with, he didn't look at all. That was the thing.
Yeah.
If he had have looked and thought, oh, he's under a little bit too much pressure, he'd wear it. But your first look has got to be, is someone else in a better position? Yep. And there was on that occasion in Cozzy.
So Malcheski for Reid. Saints are covering bases, having the same problem the Swans that the Saints had in that second term. Now they've got it to the wing, and Goods is down there as well. If they can mark it here, Goods is on his own towards the square. McGlynn fighting a 1-on-3 battle though. The numbers were against him. Hanbury takes Sipos out, and Kennedy's able to fashion a kick. McVeigh under pressure. Bird, one more handball. They're in the clear. Grundy. Unusual to see him so far forward, and he just got run down in the end.
Oh, pushed after the kick.
Oh,
I thought it was just a good pressure.
Did he push him in the back?
I thought it was in the side. Well, we'll have a really good look here. We get the benefit of the slow-mo as well as Brendan Goddard.
Oh, well, I guess it was the small of the back, wasn't it? But
very small.
That happens 100 times a game.
Yeah, I reckon he's stiff there. But that's just, gee whiz.
That's just putting pressure on the ball carrier.
Yeah, that's a bad call. Bad call.
I reckon the umpires will tick it.
Oh, no question.
Yep.
Grundy comes in to kick for goal. And good afternoon to the Geese as he puts it through.
Well, that hurts on a couple of fronts for St Kilda. Sydney have been in 4 times this quarter for 2 goals. St Kilda 13 times for 1 goal 3. You can see the umpire there talking to Brendan Goddard.
And this is why this kills you.
Oh,
there he is. That just kills you. That
he didn't look at all.
And here's the free.
Oh no, that's just. He was just a lunge and his hand sort of slid down his rump. No.
I think the best indication of that, Hutto, is Grundy wasn't expecting a free kick at all. He's sort of lowered his head, thought that's a terrible kick.
Did it impact the kick though?
Well, it didn't. Like Grundy's response was more a case of, oh, what a terrible kick.
But if it impacted the kick and he pushed him in the back, isn't it a free kick?
Well, I don't think it was in the back.
Okay, well that's the argument. Whether it was in the back or not is the argument.
Yeah,
Clearly.
I think it certainly affected his kick, but the reason his kick was affected because he took too long to kick it.
Yeah.
Graham out wide to Goddard. The margin is out to 12 points, and it's disappointing from a St Kilda.
Oh, they've dominated.
They've done so much hard work, and that's, well, if the boundary wasn't there, that was a good kick, but the boundary was there. So
But it also goes back to the Saad handball.
Yep.
I mean, the ball's not down there if the umpire's bouncing in the centre bounce. So kick the goal, and that's just a really, really poor effort from a young player.
So margin 2 goals. Goddard can't take it. Well, intriguing contest here at the SCG. The weather's done the right thing after some rain this morning. It's cleared, fine conditions. Midway through this third quarter, still delicately poised. Swans without Mumford for the rest of the game, subbed out. Big opportunity for St Kilda again. Kazitsky slaps it back, and the Saints and Swans see it over and out.
Yeah, they've worked their way well back into the game. It's now a genuine contest. A lot of guys just scrapping for the ball, fighting. It's just going to be a case of who can get that clean possession out of these clearances here, give their forwards a bit of a chance.
Came down to Melcheski, who gets a second crack at it.
And the Mumford factor starting to come into play a little bit around the clearance as well. St Kilda's starting to win some clearances without the ruck domination of Mumford.
Somehow Kennedy kept it in. I'm not sure if he really wanted to or not, but he did, and it's over the boundary line.
So the game sort of needs a Lenny Hayes just to open up the pack and, you know, a Brendan Goddard, one of the star players, because it's still there to win this game. It just seems they're faltering a bit at the moment, the Saints.
We saw Shane Mumford, as we said, subbed out with a knee injury. There's a shove to the Saints. A little perplexed was Jared McVeigh. Aggressive kick in the middle, element of risk, more than just the small element too.
Good tackle.
Everett, Doggett,
it's too long.
Gilbert, and the umpire must be saying he's done enough.
I think it was good effort on two fronts, as we see Mumford here, definitely icing the knee there. So disappointing for Mumford, hopefully not too bad, but really good, courageous running from Gilbert off the back line. Poor kick, and then makes a great tackle, so well done.
Revolt. Swans have got an extra man behind here, but he's not going to be in the play. It's still one-on-one. Now the extra man comes in. This is Matner. He tried to wade his way through. That was close to holding the ball. They're going to get a goal eventually. You would think no.
Can they just handball it over the top?
Did Snyder take Matner take Snyder on? He did. He had prior opportunity.
Clearly holding the ball.
It was a perfect tackle. Here he is. Look, he's up fire.
2, takes him on.
He's going to say the ball slipped out in the tackle, but that was holding the ball.
That's holding the ball. Has to be holding the ball.
Every day of the week, except Sunday, obviously.
Well, that hurts because you get a softish free kick up the other end and you don't get this one this end.
Melcheski up to the wing. Everett came late and couldn't stop.
Well, once again, there was a nice, easy handball over the top spot. I think it was Cozzy in the goal square again. That's the second one for the quarter that he could have kicked. Just their decision-making at the moment, just not finishing off their play the same.
Well, it's got to be really frustrating, Scotty Waters, because their work rates there, they've had 15 inside 50s.
Yeah.
And they're really good at kicking goals once they get it in there. They've only kicked them one.
Fisher, this time Kazitsky gets himself clear. And he can have a shot for goal.
They're right in this game of football, St Kilda. They've just got to believe it themselves.
He needs to kick this.
21 goals, 4 for the season for Justin Kazitsky. We saw him have a shot from
looks like
similar X range, but it's a little further out earlier in the game. It didn't make the distance. He's had just 3 disposals today. Hasn't scored. 21-4. Here's his season total. Didn't look like it was perfect connection, but it'll look like that now. Or is it touched?
It looked like it was over the line.
I think it was a goal, yeah.
Score review, please.
Score review.
We believe the ball was touched before it crossed the goal line. Please confirm.
Okay. Well, this is interesting because the touch ones have been the hardest ones to tell on the replay.
I thought it looked like, and I don't want to put words in the goal umpire's mouth clearly, but if you watch it here,
He thinks it was touched by Mike.
well, does the goal umpire think it's touched, or is he going to play a goal?
He said, we think. That's what the
Yeah, he
umpire
said we do.
Looks like it's missed, doesn't it, to me? But inconclusive, really.
It's inconclusive.
Which means it'll be a point.
Well, it means what the umpire thinks it is.
Yeah, which was a
If he thought it was a goal, it's a goal. If he thought it was a point,
Well, he said we think it's a point.
it's a point then.
Yeah, what does the goal umpire think? That's what I'm uncomfortable with. Surely the goal umpire has got, not collectively.
Yeah, it actually looks like it's missed on that.
Yeah,
That's
not
the one.
collectively. The goal umpire's spud is 6 inches away from that ball. So I don't want to know what the field umpire thinks. I don't want to know what the boundary umpire thinks. What I want to know is, what does the goal umpire think?
I agree with you, but I think that last replay clearly showed it was a goal. I think it clearly showed it missed the fingers. Anyway.
Unless the goal umpire heard the ball hit the fingers, and you can hear that.
But I don't mind. If the goal umpire thinks it's touched, that's fine. I don't mind that at all. What I'm saying is, I don't want to hear the umpire say, we think it's touched. I want to hear what the goal umpire thinks.
Well, they're not getting the rub of the green at the moment, that's for sure. St Kilda, 1 goal 5. It's a little bit like Sydney in the first quarter, 16 inside 50s.
It's especially in those situations too, Rosie, where the goal umpire clearly is in the best position.
He has to be in the best position.
Sometimes if they're not, you go, okay, well, the fielding or the boundary might have seen it better, but when they're that close.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess we just hope that it was the goal umpire that thought it was touched. The game goes on. It's been a bit of a confusing third term for all sorts of reasons. Plenty happening. Down to Liam.
Yeah, Sipos has been subbed, as you can see there, and Donnell gets a chance to get into the game. He was actually pretty good, Sam Donnell, last week when he came on.
Yeah, did a couple of classy things.
Frank Donnell, Essendon player.
McAvoy. And there's a good grab from Grundy.
They really need some reward for effort here, St Kilda.
Quick hands for Smith. His recovery was much better than his fumble. As McVeigh, they're digging deep, being as resourceful as they can. Certainly there's not as much confidence in this Sydney defence at the moment on the way out. Richards to a one-on-one. No Mumford to drive for. Instead, Goods. And again, just slips out the back. Jack Stephen giving them some power running. Drives it for Goddard. Little give, Montagna. Poorly directed. Sure, that's easy fodder for him.
I think you touched on it before, Hutto, just the class players of St Kilda. They're just a little bit off their game today. They normally really deliver those beautiful, accurate passes, the great decisions. They kick a goal when they have to, but this just seemed a little bit off at the moment, the top liners for the Saints.
Well, Lenny Hayes is a good point in case, Rizzy. He's only had the 9 disposals, and this ground, I thought, coming to this ground today, a little bit wet underfoot. It's going to suit him down to the ground because he's ranked 1 in a whole lot of areas for the Saints, but he's been really quiet today.
Well, Ryan O'Keefe's done a bit of a number on Lenny so far.
No, he has.
And he is running all up and down the ground. He's taking him deep forward. He's taking him into defence.
He's a great matchup for him, isn't he? Because he can be such a damaging player himself. If he gets in attack, he can kick a goal.
And that's the beauty of Ryan O'Keefe, playing a selfless role. He dominated last week himself individually, and now he's playing the team role and trying to get one of the key generations of Kilda not having an impact.
Hanbury. Goddard. Out the back, Jones. Johnson to spoil. Actually, he went for the mark, which was
he should have spoiled.
Oh, Jack scoots away. What a player he is now. The kick not perfect. And unless your name's Tom Simpkin, it was perfect for him.
I think it also illustrates the depth of the Swans. They've got a number of players that can go to different types. You've got Bird who can tag, you've got McVeigh who can tag, you've got Jack who can tag, and there you've got sort of Ryan O'Keefe that can do the rolls on those bigger bodies. I just think their depth in the midfield is really worrying the opposition at the moment.
Rebol's just come on the ground, so there's no next tall marking option, although he might get to this. McAvoy's there as well, and popping up is Donnell.
Good grab. Really
that's a good grab, because I reckon that's a hit and hope, Spud. That's just a turnaround kick, and that's a really courageous mark. As Pike, I think he slipped, but he could have nailed that young. I think it was just a turnaround wheel hit and hope. If we look at it here, I'm not sure. Eyes on the footy, and it's just in the air. It was Pike just slipping. when he could have come over the top and spoiled the ball. So they got away with one there, the Saints.
8 disposals last week coming as a sub. He had a shot and kicked it out on the full last week. So hopefully here he can just go back and put it through. And he has. First goal in AFL footy for Sam Donnell. Well, what a vital goal it is.
I was going to say, it's probably a fair reward because they've just dominated this quarter and they almost could be in front at the moment, the Saints, but here it is, just wheeling around. I don't know, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, Spud, but a balloon ball like that doesn't often get marked, 15, 20 metres out, and then just Pikey just slips. But full credit to the Saints this quarter. They have bridged the gap. They've won a lot more contested football. They've certainly slowed the Swans up from their scoring opportunities as well.
Really good, courageous mark there from Sam Donnell, playing his second game, his first goal. Really courageous mark. There's no doubt Scotty Watters will show that to the group tomorrow in the review. That's what you need to do for a youngster to earn your spot in the team.
So quickly they're into attack. The Swans, who now need to respond. The onus going on to them. Really, it's been a quarter dominated by the Saints.
It's been a funny old game, hasn't it?
One side's waiting, it's counter-punching and waiting for another side to get a run on, then we'll lift our work rate. It's wide open, this game. It's in the back. Yeah, I thought it was Cozzy. Cozzy pushed Roberts-Thomson out far too easily.
And when I know Cozzy's not a ruckman of sorts, but he's a more experienced ruckman than Lewis Roberts-Thomson. So you don't give away a free kick like that. You're the dominant ruckman of those two.
He just had to hold.
Yeah, just hold your ground. I mean, that was just poor by Cozzy. And Lewis Roberts-Thomson, here it is here. Just a shove. You
just had to hold.
It's a free kick every day of the week. It's unnecessary.
A little bit of a wobbly run in, and it's kicked very strongly and with great authority from Lewis Roberts-Thomson.
Oh, that's just annoying, Spud. I mean, you and I looking at each other shaking our head. And Cozzy hasn't had a great day, but you can't compound it by doing those silly things.
It's inexcusable, because you have to look at another look here. All he had to do was hold here. Hold. He always had the ball.
He was in a dominant position, absolutely.
Well, in the end, he ran past the ball. So the ball was there, so there was no need to push him out. He had to hold him there and just had Del Santo and Goddard tap it out. It would have been a simple clearance, undisciplined.
So great response from the Swans, even if it was assisted by the umpire. So a couple of important goals in this third quarter coming from free kicks for the Swans. As we said, the Saints have really dominated proceedings, but not so on the scoreboard. It's been 3 goals to 2-5. They continue to hunt here. Bolton was there in the thick of it. At the back, O'Keefe couldn't venture past Donnell. He's a young man full of enthusiasm. And look at the tackling we get now in the game. Not just 1, 2, 5 blokes all tackling at the same time. Margin stands at 10. Malcheski. Reed gets away from him and it's over the line and out of bounds.
He's had a big quarter, Malcheski, 12 possessions.
Well, there's Scott. He'd be looking at the inside 50s and saying, we've had 19 inside 50s, we've dominated the play, kicked 2 goals, 5. Sydney have been in 6 times for 3 goals. We've been outscored. We're 3 times the inside 50s in Sydney.
Jetta, again, not goal side of the pack, so kicks along to Goods. Surely that was interference from Goods. It certainly appeared to be initially. Anyway, now, that's a dastardly time to fall over, so deep in defence. Long kick out of there from Dempster. Jetta with a run, couldn't collect it in the air, and it's out of bounds.
Just a handball from Goddard. I mean, there's a player, Spud, just really out of form, and this is a contest here. Actually, it was almost probably we thought it was a free kick maybe to Simpkin, but it was almost a free kick to Goods.
Yeah, Goods hands in the back.
Hands in the back, but geez, Goddard's out of form, Spud, isn't he?
He is.
The handball before.
Oh, that handball was indicative of the way he's played the last month.
Decisive stuff from Grundy.
No urgency in it.
Canterbury to Bird. They're clicking a little better, the Swans, but hopelessly outnumbered. Goods, the last man standing. A calamity it could be for the Saints. Not a perfect handball by any means for Everett. They're doing it hard, both sides in front of goal at the moment.
Well, the intensity have lifted the last 2 minutes for both teams.
Yeah.
They can sense that 3/4 time is not far away.
Normally good to have just had the shot for goal.
Yeah, normally, yeah.
But if you're going to make a mistake, it's better make a mistake making a team error.
Yeah.
Not like Sard early on.
Right.
Gwilt from that very last line. Kazitsky was the intention, but Ted Richards, who's a real crowd favourite and a team favourite, marks to Johnson. Could have laid it off by hand. Instead kicks to Jetta, who is a mighty good kick.
It was about an 8-yard kick to Jetta.
And I saw Sydney play, I think, round 2 or 3. I've seen a lot on the tally. It's been great to watch Ted Richards live.
Yep.
And I've really admired the way his positioning, his body use. He's in rare form, Ted Richards.
He just reads the play so well, Spud. He looks at the guys kicking the ball, reads it better than the forward at the moment. He's in good form, yeah.
Well, he kicked a monster goal last week from outside 50. He's on his way again. He's such a pure footballer as Jenner. It's a goal.
Well, we talked about the intensity lifting just before three-quarter time. And the last thing St Kilda needed was for Sydney to kick a goal. There's something off the ball here. The free kick to St Kilda.
Prohibited contact, Adam. You won't need it. Prohibited contact. Stay there.
He'll be in this.
Well, Edwards has gone down.
You come in, you initiate the contact, Adam. You start at your third man in.
No, he's coming through. Nick, please. No, Nick. Ben.
A lot of chatter going on.
Anyway, Ben McAvoy's got the kick. It's always got to be the ruckman. If there's a centre bounce, that's the rule. The ruckman has to take the kick. There it is.
10 seconds.
Nick Galsando wanted it.
Well, it shouldn't take you that long to work it out.
It shouldn't. I don't know why Nick was demanding the ball.
Yeah.
Lays it off to Graham. One last hurrah in this third quarter. Revolt so close. Shaw, they wrap it up. Temperature rising here right on the siren at three-quarter time. And somehow the Swans have come out winning that quarter despite a massive lift by the Saints. They're still in this game, but 16 points is a big obstacle as we head into the last quarter. A quarter full of feeling, you would think, after what we saw in that third term, and it's still going on.
Snyder and Goodsey, a couple of premiership teammates there. So
it's an amazing quarter of football. Sydney Swans, 9 inside 50s for 4 goals. St Kilda, 20 inside 50s for 2.
All right, let's get to the break so we can get back here at the SCG for the last quarter. It's Sydney 9-13-67. It's St Kilda 7-9-51. Goal lead at quarter time. Some worrying injuries for both sides in the second. Nick Revolt okay, but not so Shane Mumford, who was eventually subbed off with a knee injury. Into the third term, and the Swans really started to get things going with some terrific running in the second quarter. Jack putting it through. They finally got some reward for their hard work after some terrible misses. Still the door was open though for the Saints, and they lifted under coach's instructions in the third quarter. Things just weren't going their way. This goal review awarded a behind, and again they missed some opportunities in front of goal. Young Donnell though kicking a terrific goal, his first in AFL footy, to put them right back in touch, but the Swans responded with a little bit of luck from a couple of free kicks in front of goal, and a class kick from Jetta right on the siren at three-quarter time finds the Sydney Swans up by 16 points. They look good things, but they're not playing their best footy, and the Saints are right in this game if they can get their act together in the forward line. Liam Pickering.
Yeah, we mentioned it was a good last couple of goals that the Swans got then, but St Kilda really dominated that quarter. I think they're right in this game. 16 points is manageable. It'll also help with the fact that Shane Mumford has gone off, hasn't played since half-time. He hurt his knee just before half-time in this incident here, and it doesn't look a lot. We thought he may have rolled his ankle, but he landed with a straight leg. Ooh. And it looks like he's hyperextended his knee, so a bit of work on his knee there. Ice pack hasn't turned up since half-time. He's sitting in the dugout, so they will miss Shane Mumford, who's been subbed.
All right, last quarter then. We're ready for action in this final term. The margin is 16. Pike continuing to do the ruck work, obviously. Hayes bombs away. Donnell, he looks a likely type. He takes the mark.
Takes the ball, doesn't he?
He does.
Off for Graham, who's penetrating by foot, but this was a delicate operation and well executed to Snyder. So,
well, really good kick. They bombed the ball. He had Ryan O'Keefe, loose man, the extra for the Swans. So you've got to go to the one-on-one, even though it's outside the corridor. Good decision.
You can see Adam Snyder there looking at the wind. As I say, that's kicking into what looks like a breeze, but I think you'll find from that side of the ground, he'll have it behind his back. So, if anything, probably right goalpost here. It should work its way left.
11 disposals and 1 behind for Adam Snyder. 5 goals, 2 for the season. Just playing his 6th game. This is a crucial kick, though, and he'll know it. And he'll be disappointed with the result. So St Kilda was so accurate in the first quarter. Since then, though, it's been a very different story. First term produced 5 goals, 1. They've kicked 2 goals, 9 since then.
It's even out over the course of the game, wasn't it? The Swans were inaccurate early.
Right.
Now it's 9-13 to 7-10.
McVeigh goes for distance and for Reid and Bolton. Goddard gobbled it up. All Sydney back there, you would think. And Matner, as they collaborate so well as a team, as we've laboured on it because it's been such a strong point for the Sydney Swans this season. Over to Grundy and then to Shaw. Let's look for the next step. Back into Richards. He'll look up and not see a lot on offer, to be honest. So he could be forced to go to a one-on-one. Reid, such a good
That's an unbelievable kick. That is a very good kick from Ted Richards. I'm looking at Gwilt as a defender. His positioning was good, hip on hip. The kick was just too good. And a good mark from Reid.
To half forward. A little slow to react there, the Sydney forwards. Goods got there eventually. Jetta. He can get out of almost any situation. Wasn't the perfect pass to his teammate. McGlynn gives him a mouthful. Little angry ant.
It's one of those days, Benny McGlynn.
Well, he could have kicked 3 or 4 goals, Ben McGlynn.
Yeah.
Instead, he's kicked 1 goal, 3. McAvoy. Goddard taken out of it.
He's down.
He lets some of his frustration out on Goddard, who is down. And the Saints players will go to McGlynn here.
Well, I just thought it was a good hip and shoulder.
He's just caught him unawares there.
Yeah, he's winded.
Replay will be interesting, of course, in the current climate. As quick kick away from Del Santo. Jack. Hayes gains another 35. Donnell for Armitage. Terrific build-up. The build-up just about complete. Some hesitation and not a good kick. Oh, what a strong mark.
Well, it's the only option he had, actually, Hutto, because there was 2 Swans players behind the ball, and it was a very good mark from Schneider. Looks like Brendan Goddard's coming up, Pickers.
Yeah, he is. He's just got a little bit winded. It's a clean hit. Have a look at this. He's just unawares. Got him before he really got set.
I reckon it was a head-to-head Pickers almost.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting because the duty of care is to not hit them in the head, isn't it, these days? Snyder with a long run. Certainly not beyond him. And then you can see the accuracy, all the issue there.
Well, if you were to ask someone who wants to shoot for goal in the last quarter to get you back into the game, look at another angle from Goddard.
That was one of those size ones, wasn't it? Just a smaller player. His head was below the chin.
Absolutely, and no problems with that.
Jones drives to full forward. Pike. That's what people said after the Zeeble one as well, though, Glenn.
Yeah, but the Zeeble, and I don't agree with the Zeeble one at all. Certainly not for 4 weeks, but he did leave the ground even though the ball was there. But look, I think that's otherwise just completely take the bump out of the game. That's
the only issue with it, because he ran past the ball.
It was a Shepherd's play. He put a Shepherd on.
Yeah, I know, but the ball was there. That's what they look at.
And if you do hit players in the head when there is another option.
Well, what can you do if you're 4'8" and your head's going?
True. No, good point.
You're bumping.
No, you've won that argument there.
I think you're absolutely. If you're 4'8", though, you should be getting them lower than the head.
No, because his head.
I think it was the top of his head that hit his chin. But I think after the Zeeble one, I just don't think any of us know what's going to happen now. You've got a guy that, by the match review panel's admission, was going for the football, and he still gets 4 weeks.
Meanwhile, back at the game, as O'Keefe kicks to the wing, it's Sydney through Everett. He's got Goods inside. Goods said no, go longer, but he went to the wrong option. Went to Geary instead. So the Saints still breathing here, just 12 points the margin.
It's a bit of breaking point, isn't it, Hutto? The game is sort of...
Tanya kicks it long. Snyder was down a long time before the ball arrived. He was screaming the umpire for a free kick. Now Goddard's just come off the bench here. McVeigh won't be aware of that. And so suddenly the Saints outnumber the Swans. And Stephen can drive it in again. Revolt! Oh, he caught
that's a mark too high. Very good play. they're still right in this game, St Kilda. Nick Smith's done a very good job on Stephen Milne since quarter time. He's only had one possession.
Well, now, first quarter, I think I might have said that they didn't seem to have that hard matchup. They were flicking it around.
That's right.
Since then, he's made an effort to stay with him everywhere, and that's been the big difference in the game from Milne and Smith.
Gee, they need some reward for effort here, though. They've had all the play again without being able to put a goal through. This will be their third shot.
Well, when you think over the years of all the shots Nick Riewoldt had, and unfortunately, a lot of them have ended just like that in crucial stages. Champion of the game. As has been well documented, that hasn't been his strong suit. But the Saints certainly putting the pressure on the Swans. And since half-time, they haven't been able to implement their effective system of getting it out from defence.
No.
So let's see how they go this time. O'Keefe, again, they're outnumbered with bodies, and Fisher takes the grab. And Gilbert thought better of trying too much on that time and kicked it quickly. It's out of bounds. I guess the onus on the Saints to create the play here.
They've been doing that since half-time.
Yep.
But no reward. And as we all know, the real reward is goals.
Yeah, neither team's been able to really use the ball well consistently today, have they?
Stephen Milne.
There's been a lot of hit and hope balls into their forward 50 both ends.
A lot of Hail Marys.
Yeah, a lot of Hail Marys going in.
Gilbert.
There's another one.
Yeah.
It slides out, so it's in a dangerous Cozzy.
Yeah, it's not a great day to be a forward for either side today. I mean, Reid hasn't had a lot of the ball, and we mentioned Cozzy and Riewoldt and Goods, but the ball movement going inside the forward 50 has been pretty ordinary from both sides.
Kennedy with 27 disposals for the Swans, 20 for Montagna, the most for the Saints. Pike from behind, brings it down. Snyder looking for his third shot for goal for the quarter. In the end, he was forced to give it up. O'Keefe just wandered through there, but he's kicked it blindly. Straight for Dempster, who kicks it straight back with a little bit more on it. What a massive kick.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it is. That's the 9th inside 50 for the start of this quarter for no reason. And the Swans haven't been in once.
That's right.
And the third quarter, I know it was the Swans in the first quarter, but the third quarter, St Kilda went in 20 times for 2 goals.
Yeah.
And Sydney went in 9 times for 3.
Do you know what's been the most amazing part of that is that they haven't had a massive influence from Lenny Hayes, Nick D'Alessandro, Lee Montagna are all quietish, and also Goddard.
And Goddard kicks it out of Milne.
Well, this is the man. We talked about Schneider having 2 set shots at the start of this quarter. This would be number 1. Milne would be number 1, Schneider number 2. And this is the moment that he loves. He craves this. Been very quiet for the last 2.5 quarters.
Kicked a wonderful goal, which we reckon covered about 65 metres in the first term. We saw Dempster just kick it from this distance earlier, so they're travelling a long way, and finally that one straight as well. There's a goal, the difference at the SCG.
Well, they had to get reward for effort. They'd had 4 or 5 shots and a lot of inside 50s. And it started, we've been critical of Goddard today, but it started with just Goddard lowering his eyes here. Just look at this. This is a good spoil, terrific spoil there. But Goddard doesn't blaze. He lowers his eyes and he hits one inside and just settles the whole game down, which allows Milne. That's a really good finish from Milne, though. So kick from outside 50. Great effort from Sam Fisher. Good hands and good vision from Brendan Goddard.
The real concern for Sydney, St Kilda dominated this start of the last quarter. 10 inside 50 to 0.
Look at the time inside forward 50.
Sure.
It's been total domination, as we said. And they don't have their number 1 ruckman in Mumford. It's starting to tell a little more as the game goes on. Jones tracked it. Jetta was left standing, but it goes St Kilda's way. Jones runs into the proverbial brick wall. But Hayes and Goddard, they've started to lift the rating a little bit. The chance from the Saints. A throw. Gee, really quick whistle.
This is their first time to enter inside the forward 50 for the Swans.
Jetta in deep. Goods is going to threaten here. Reid will have to contest. He almost dragged it down, and it didn't fall to where Adam Goods was anticipating. Instead, it's Gwilt that takes it out to half-back. All hands on deck. Milne from half-forward all the way back to half-back. Trying to orchestrate another move forward. Snyder versus O'Keefe. Digging deep on all their reserves, the Saints. He's either saw or lost his shoe there, Snyder. Twisted the ankle.
I think he might have.
So he looks a little lame at the moment. Both sides have used their sub, as we said. Mumford and Sipos Pike grabbed it. It was good.
That was clever.
Play, wasn't it?
Clever.
Put in the lap of Hanbury. Rare fumble from Kennedy. Had the luxury of a little bit of space. Still handballs in the end, so good pressure from the Saints. Starting to show. McVeigh, even that was a hurried kick and a wayward kick. But it does get it deep into their attacking territory.
Well, it's a relief for the Swans just to get a stoppage inside their forward 50. Like I said, the whole of this quarter's been in St Kilda's forward line. So at least the Sydney Swans defenders get some respite now, can set up behind the ball.
Pike comes. Kennedy. Stephen tries to slap it away. Fisher. And job done. It's out of bounds.
Yeah, and they're generally dangerous at the forward stoppages, the Swans. You look for a McVeigh, a Goods down there, McGlynn.
Tap down comes from Pike. Squeezes on here at the SCG. Crowd can sense what's going on out there. The home team really being put under severe stress by St Kilda. There's so many experienced Saints that have been in these situations so many times before. Pike down to Goods. How did he get clear? Over to Bolton again. They just missed the target. Bolton goes down. He got up again. Of course he did. It's deep, and it's through for a behind.
Good tough clash there between Simpkin and Bolton. Fair bump. It's good.
Oh, they don't get out of there cleanly though. O'Keefe gives it plenty, and a thundering noise around the SCG.
That goal was that quick. The goal umpire didn't get enough time to put the stick back from his point. He had to throw one behind. It was a great play from Ryan O'Keefe.
Outstanding goal umpiring those spots.
No, it is. You probably won't see the goal umpire from this angle, but he actually throws the goal stick down because have a quick look. Oh, the ball's coming straight back over my head. That's the last thing St Kilda needed. That hurts because they've dominated the start of this last quarter. Good goal, O'Keefe.
11 points the difference here at the SCG. They've been challenged and they still will be in this final term. They've responded once. St Kilda have kicked 1-6 to 1-1. McAvoy against Pike, who holds his own that time. Down to Kennedy. Del Santos in the mix. Stephen there. Gilbert's there. They're all having a crack. Hayes finds a way when many couldn't. Inside out torpedo to Milne.
Yeah, free kick holding.
He was massacred there. Takes the free kick. And again, this is within his capabilities.
He's kicking for another 4 or 5 metres back. It just got over the hands. I'm not sure he'll get this one with the wind.
I'd like to see him hit a target here. There's some space on his right side of the ground there, but I just don't think he can get the journey here.
He can't, I don't think, but look at that. It's going to land right on the... Oh, did it go through?
Oh, no.
It has gone through. It's a goal.
That never looked like going through. Well,
that was not very well organised on the goal.
Yeah, that was terrible. John Longmire would be absolutely ropeable here if we look at it. Yeah, just
there's
a free kick, genuine free kick. It looked to be, that 2 or 3 metres outside the range, and just a desperation pull from tried to get away with one Smith there.
But I thought he was going to land in the middle of the goal square.
If we look at it here, it did. It just seemed to.
Oh, jeez! What a kick!
5 goals for Stephen Milne. What a day!
I'm just wondering, had Pike gone around the back and jumped over the top? He actually came around the front.
He was in the wrong position, Rosie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pike gets it down. The Saints have responded. O'Keefe, it's back to you, sir, they say. And the Swans come again through Bird, charging into the clear. He summed it up well. He executed it well. What a game this is at the SCG.
I'd love to know who was on Craig Bird there, if we can pick that up on the vision, because that should not have been such an easy goal. He went in unopposed, but no one actually picked him up. If we see it here, has he come out of the centre bounces? I don't think so. Here's the quick kick gone in. There it is there. Ball watching Gilbert.
Yeah,
ball watching. Absolutely disgraceful defence.
You can have a look as long as you've got a defensive position on your direct opponent, not in that instance.
Oh, the coach really coming out into there, Rosie. Not happy with the work of Gilbert, but great goal for Bird and the Swans.
Well, if you're a defender, Hutto, your first responsibility is to defend. And he went to one side, Bird went the other side.
You're right, Keith's been important too.
Yeah, a couple of clearances.
Back to 11. Urgent situation for the Saints again. Stephen takes them out to half forward. Goddard angles the kick in for Saad. The odds not good there. They're better when Milne's in the frame. Couldn't take it and wasn't interfered with. O'Keefe to Richards. Didn't really do Richards any favours at all. Quick work from Snyder to get it on the boot. And that hits the post.
Well, they're working really hard, the Saints. I mean, both sides. But that's 12-4 inside 50s now. So they're just 9 goals 16 to 11 goals 14.
So Grundy has the ball at full back. Last quarter 2-7 to St Kilda, 2-1 to the Swans. The inside 50s 12-4. Roberts-Thomson the target, and the ball knocked to safety. Margin back to 10 points.
I think the interesting thing is, Hutto, that the Saints just seem to be working overtime to get back into this game and kick a goal. And every time they get close enough, the Swans go down and kick an easy goal.
Kosicki over the top of Roberts-Thomson. Del Santo couldn't do much. Looking for out on the full.
And this is where with Kosicki, Lewis, Roberts-Thomson, they need to try and set something up here, the Saints, around their stoppers. Here comes McAvoy now.
Hanbury. Bird, he knew what was around him. Reid versus Gwilt, been a really good struggle all day, that one, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Gwilt's worked hard. Hasn't been a lot of one-on-ones, I guess, just because of the nature of the way the game's been played. Reid's just had 4 disposals, 3 marks for 2 behinds.
They're just setting themselves too far back, the ruckman, for this side of the ground.
Yeah, absolutely, Pickers. The last 2 throw-ins, they haven't got anywhere near it.
Jack for Goods.
We'll see if they learn this time, Rusey. But you're right, the umpire throws it straight into the teeth of the breeze.
Yeah.
The ruckman's sitting up like they're throwing it with the breeze.
Yeah, no, and that's, sorry, that drives the coaches crazy, I can tell you. They can't work out, how does the ruckman not get to the contest? You've got to work it out.
McAvoy brings it down. Stephen went to ground, was looking for a free perhaps. Jack. Industrious stuff in there. We are talking about ruckman though, Rosie.
Well, the problem is they want to wrestle before they actually get to the contest. They wrestle, and they work out, hang on, it's 5 metres, I've got to run, and I don't get there.
8.5 to go. Goods made a run at it, but he collected Lenny Hayes high.
They need to make the most of their opportunities. I know we talked about the Sydney Swans in the first quarter, but since half-time, the inside 50s have been 32-13.
Yeah.
St Kilda's favour. They need to generate some score now. It's going to be a wasted opportunity.
The interesting thing is, though, Spud, it hasn't looked that way because of the way they've used the ball. They've just bombed it in.
Yeah, and there's another.
The ball usage has just been horrendous going forward, the Saints.
From Dempster. Somehow they keep it alive.
There's another. Yeah. Just another bomb forward. There's been no system. So whilst it looks like a smashing in terms of the raw stats, it certainly hasn't been that way because of the ball use has been terrible.
And you can see why Rewalt and Cozzy have been quiet. They haven't had great games. They'd be the first to say that, but they haven't been helped by the ball use.
Not at all.
So 8 minutes to go. Here's Kosicki and Richards at the top of the goal square. Swans with a couple of extras back at the moment. Which means the Saints also have surplus numbers. Here's Hayes driving it in. Kosicki over the top. Milne just for a moment.
It's been an intriguing game. It's one of the most intriguing games because there's hard contests, great tactics, big clashes like that. There's going to be some sore boys at the end of the game.
Oh, absolutely. I think tactically it's been really fascinating. There's certainly contested footy, guys winning one-on-one contests. There's no doubt it's just been a different game. It's not a free-flowing sort of game, but that's fine. I think it's been fascinating to watch, and it's 10 points of difference with 7 minutes to go, so it's anyone's game at the moment.
A taxing game of footy at the SCG, and the pressure no doubt being felt by those 2 men as much as anyone.
And as you know, Rosie, it's a relief for the winning coach and a week of heartache for the losing coach.
Jack to half forward again. The extra number is a telling factor. Straight to Dempster.
Well, they're exhausting days, these guys, from a tactical point of view from the coaches, because you've got to try and free something up. You've got to try and free a player, get a player involved. Maybe do you leave your the loose back, you gobble there, loose back up. So it's a real tactical battle in the coaching
chance here, the Saints.
They've been using the spare really effectively on this move forward. And so it's deep. Cozzy held back. And there the extra number works to Sydney's advantage. Grundy took a long time to kick that. And Johnson's got problems here because there are Saints galore at half forward. And they use each other very smartly. Geary, Snyder, one more. Donnell for his second. Unfortunately, it's out of bounds on the full.
Well, it's come off the outside of his boot, unfortunately. You can see what he's trying to do. They're pressing the Saints.
Just a lack of composure at the moment from the Saints. Just need someone. Look, you can't blame the young kid. He's tried to screw it round, just come off the wrong side of his foot. No dramas with that. But you need a Montagna now to get hold of it, a Del Santo, someone that can just lower their eyes. Snyder's normally a smart player. They just need to hit a short target.
They try and get it out of there, but it's going to come straight back in again. Goddard dumps. And they're inside the 50 through Stephen. Again, that's across the face from Teddy Richards.
Well, it was a terrible kick. It was straight to Teddy Richards. It wasn't to Cozzy's advantage at all.
Shaw to O'Keefe to Jack. And he goes straight for the chalk. McVeigh versus Geary. And that'll suit the Swans just fine at this late stage. 6.5 to go, Spud.
Well, there's a lot of pressure out there, but you've still got to kick the ball long to advantage. Now, have a look at this kick here. Cozzy's playing in front, and he should have kicked it to Cozzy's advantage there, to the top of the square or to the space. Or
Sard, was it?
Or Sard as well, but he's kicked it straight to Teddy Richards.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was actually having a shot for goal and just miskicked it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's almost like, Spud, if you look behind the play, you got Ryan O'Keefe there. It's almost like the Swans coach is saying, I don't think you can beat us.
Yeah.
You won't score like this.
Yeah.
Well, you've beaten him 17 times.
That's right. You're not scoring at the moment. We're just going to sit one back or two back and let you keep peppering it in. And if we can get one on the fast break...
Mind you, if they get it in enough, surely they'll break eventually.
Not if they kick it like that.
No.
You're right.
And there's O'Keefe just mopping it up.
So there's no need for Sam Donnell to play on them. You have to go back and let the forwards set up.
Yeah.
Let them get set.
Goods did really well there to get a spoil on, and he caught it.
Whose free kick's
Whose
this?
free kick is it?
I think it's Jones's free, but
It's got to be. He had the ball.
just not sure what he actually did wrong.
Well, he attacked it hard.
Was it in the back? Was it too high?
Or the legs from underneath him.
He didn't call that though, the umpire.
Yeah, I think it was just a good contest. I think
it was legs underneath. I think he should have got the free, but I'm just not quite sure what it was for. The kick goes to centre half forward. Shaw got it away. Goddard, Lenny Hayes.
He's a one-on-one.
And he can go to Kaczynski.
That's exactly what you talked about, Rose. You get the ball in the hands of the good decision makers, and the blokes that can use the ball by foot, instead of blazing away like other players might have, then he just hit up Cozzy there. So he just needs to finish.
Geez, what a kick this is. He's been quiet all day, Cozzy, but it might be your day, but it could be your moment.
Absolutely.
Well, that's exactly right. You might only get one real chance in a game to have an impact, and this is it for Justin Kaczynski.
There it is.
It's through, and the Saints are well and truly alive and in this.
This is an amazing game of footy, Rosie.
Well, the message for the Saints boys is lower the eyes, and here's the free kick. I'm not sure.
Well, Goodsy slipped over.
But what's the free kick for?
Well, it must be for taking Clinton Jones' legs from under him.
Pretty sure the umpire didn't say that.
I have no idea what that free kick. But lower your eyes. The Saints to win this game, they've got to lower their eyes, hit the guy on the lead. That's Ryan O'Keefe versus Cozzy.
What a game at the SCG. It's had the lot, and now we get the grand finish.
Staggering game of football, this. It's enthralling.
11-14-80, 10-16, 76. The Swans by 4 points. Big footy to be won. Malcheski, fumble. Need sure ball handling. McVeigh could. Malcheski couldn't. And the Saints are able to lock it all up.
And these are great games for players just to stand up in. You know, you saw Lenny Hayes, who hasn't had a great game. He's had 7 in the last quarter. Montagna's had 7. Goddard hasn't had a great game. He's had 8 in the last quarter. So the Saints' good players are really starting to stand up now.
Push Goods back to the goal square as well, Sydney.
Yeah. Slapped into the 50, sent out by Gilbert, not too fast. Stephen. 4.5 minutes to go, so half an eye on the clock now. Sydney by 4. The crowd can feel it. The players can feel it, no doubt. And the boundary umpire, they're a mile back again, the ruckman. They've had to push really hard to get there. Pike spikes it up to the 50. That'll suit the Swans just fine.
Yeah. McAvoy's got to prevent that from happening.
Now, the loose man in defence down here for St Kilda is Dempster. Now, he's not going to get goods or one-on-one down there at all with Fisher.
Yeah, they're just not going to let that happen.
Nah. It's good positioning from Dempster behind the play there at the front. So it allows Fisher just to play from behind and then Dempster to take that front space. We can see it here if we get to this next stoppage, perhaps. That's good positioning.
Yeah,
there's Fisher one side and Dempster's out to the left there. If you look at him, there he is there. So he's taking that spot, really good spot there.
He's going the dangerous space.
Yep.
Del Santo slapped back by McVeigh. Hayes got rid of it as soon as he picked it up. And it's hot out there at the moment. Jones, Del Santo didn't panic. Got it into Graham's hands. Knew he had the extra number there to work with. Gwilt also was smart, composed. Sets a real task for Fisher, though. He's got 2 Swans to contend with.
Well done, Nick Smith.
Yeah, Nick
Come up his direct opponent.
Goods collects.
Yeah, great
works it
effort.
to Jenner. He decides to give to O'Keefe, who sets it up. McVeigh's got to go. Everett loves it late in the game. Not this time. Couldn't take the mark. It was there for him.
I'll tell you what, Lenny Hayes. Was that Lenny Hayes?
Yeah.
Look at that. Everett's come over the top with an absolute sitter. When I say sitter, he's got the run at it. Lenny Hayes reached up. He may have grabbed an arm, I reckon, but I tell you what, it was an outstanding effort.
Well, it's deep, deep, deep in the Swans attacking area. And Kieran Jack, talk about stand up. This small man with a big heart puts it through.
Well, what
on him, Spud?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Lee Montagna. And look, I think he was goal side. I think the tap was just too good. And it started with Nick Smith. It's just an amazing goal, unbelievable goal. You've just seen St Kilda have just been pressing and pressing. Just have a look at the stoppage here.
Good setup. Great
Here's
hit.
Lee Montagna, goal side. And
good goal.
just a good tap, good goal. Nothing Lee Montagna could do there. Well done, Josh Kennedy.
They want this position on the top of the ladder.
It was a really good hit from Joey Kennedy, wasn't it? Just to get it to a super dangerous area. Didn't allow the ruckman, just knocked it out there, and then Kieran Jack, fantastic goal.
Crowd in full voice. Saints still a chance, though. They have to respond ever so swiftly. Under 2 goals and still 3, almost 3.5 minutes to go. They'll put it in lockdown if they can now, the Swans, though.
Well, it's a copybook of the third quarter. See both coaches there, John Longmire working the phone.
They're going one-on-one now.
Yeah, he wants, I think John Longmire, Hutto, just calling them up. He wants the forwards up. He wants them up and around the backs. You can see Teddy Richards.
Well, they've got loose men forward here, the Swans, somehow.
Yep.
McLean's able to get there. He's ready for this, but it's going to come down into Reed's arms.
Well, Simpkin lost his footing. There's no... Look, 19 inside 50 St Kilda for 3 goals. Sydney are now in 7 times and going for goal number 4. So got to make the most of the opportunities. It's an opportunity lost if St Kilda lose this game. But Sydney have been brave. They've won the clearances. Good body use there from Reed. Engaged young Tom Simpkin and then flew for the high ball.
Puts it through and just about puts it beyond doubt.
Yeah, look at St Kilda's early domination of this quarter, and O'Keefe just sat back. O'Keefe, and this is where the coaching comes into it, because they need to man O'Keefe up, Spud. He's ended up in this quarter, I think he's had 10 possessions in this quarter. He's controlled the game from the back half, and even though they dominate, great effort by Sam Reid. Hasn't had a great day. The good thing about Sammy Reid, he'll keep on trying, keep on presenting, and he basically kicks the goal to seal it.
His first goal comes 29 minutes into the final term, and unfortunately that doesn't paint a pretty picture for Scott Watters and the Saints. 16 points now the margin. Pike brings it to their feet. Bolton cops one high. And now 50.
Well, it's going to hurt.
Rubs it in.
Yeah. Well, Lenny just must have asked the question. That's all that could have happened. He's been really brave in the last quarter, Lenny. He's had the 8 disposals. 3 clearances. There was definitely a free kick there, and I think he's just asked the umpire why.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of adjectives there. The cost of 50, obviously.
Yeah, big penalty, but yeah, Jude Bolton, he's always going to put his head over the football, and you've got to protect the guy going down for the ball, and free kick round the neck.
So Bolton comes in to make it 22 points, and there's no doubt about And the Swans are still sitting on top.
If that's the scoreline at the end of the game, it's an injustice on the whole game. It's probably it's just broken over in the last 5 minutes. It's an eight-point game. Sydney deserve this win, and they're going to win now. Let's face it. And you just see the free kick. Lenny talking to the umpire.
Was it the smack on the head here? Have a look at this. Marmitage. What's this?
Oh, that's it. It's not Lenny.
It's not Lenny. I
apologise, Lenny.
Yep.
Well picked up, Rosie. It was David Armitage.
There's the live ladder, and there's the Swans with their percentage. 13 points clear.
Josh Kennedy's had another outstanding game. 35 disposals, 21 contested possessions, 9 clearances, 1 goal.
Hungry for another. Jack sends it Reid from one side, Gooch from the other, but Fisher squeezed in between, takes the mark. Still trying to scramble one forward. Sard hasn't been a great day for him. Graham, creative little handball. Kieran Jack got the call at the last minute from McVeigh, and they control the footy.
You're talking about a bit of a blowout, not a blowout. The percentage, Hutto, is important.
No,
so
true.
Both sides, because St.Kilda loses today, and they drop a little bit of percentage, that could hurt them in the long run. So these last 4 or 5 minutes are critically important.
Bolton, and it could bounce either way. It sits for a while, and eventually goes out.
Another goal here in the next minute, Spud. It takes that right to 28 points.
Well, today, I guess, really all about the 4 points, but now those little things can matter.
Yep.
Mike Pike's done a really good job since Mumford's been off the ground. He's held his own, hasn't he, against McAvoy and Cozzy.
Yep.
A couple of very quick handballs from the Swans to the top of the square. They get one last mark or goal opportunity. Graham will try and get it out of there. Great tackling. And it's through for a behind. Could have been holding the ball. Down to the last 44 seconds. Nick Del Santo. Right down the middle. Richards parries it back. In fact, goes and gets it himself, Teddy. And drives into the pocket. And the last shot for goal of the game, you would think, would be not from Ben McLean at all. He kicks it into the goal square. And the mark taken by Jude Bolton. And he will get the last laugh here for the Swans. Yeah. It's going to be an unfair scoreline in the end, isn't it? It's going to be 29 points by the look of it.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't that sort of game. Watching it really close and a bit of a 5-goal victory in the end. The Swans, so Scotty Waters will be disappointed on a number of fronts.
He will. That Jude Bolton for another goal. Comes in, drives it through. And the Swans lead by 29 points. And that will be the winning margin with 1 second to go. And, well, let's hope the city really embraces them in the run into the finals now, Rosie.
Yeah, look, they've got the Gold Coast next week. And they're certainly playing really good football. Haven't been at their absolute best today, but the credit to both teams. I think both teams have been very combative today, and they've just really had to go at each other physically, and it's been a really tough, physical, hard game. So, but the Swans certainly responded when St Kilda dominated it in the second half, but they responded late, the Swans, and have come away with a really good win.
Yes, you couldn't have seen this scoreline even, 3-4 minutes ago.
No, absolutely.
4 quick goals from the Swans has taken it out to 29 points, and the Sydney Swans are still on top of the heap. And they are cheering here at the SCG as that famous song rings out. 26,000 people are on their feet, and they're loving what they see with this Sydney Swans team. As you said, a different kind of win today, Rosie, but one that they'll savour nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. They had some terrific players. Kennedy, 35. He was outstanding. He's finished off with a great year. Goodsey played an interesting role. I thought it was a critical role that he played. He kept Fisher really busy after the first quarter, stayed forward for most of the game. Really well kept on working really hard, but it was a tough day for forwards because of the ball movement, both teams. The Milne-Smith matchup was interesting. There's Nick Smith there. Beaten early, bounced back, and then Milne kicked a couple late as well. So it was a really good game.
The one downside, of course, the injury to Shane Mumford, so we'll have to wait and see what the outcome of that is. But let's get to Liam Pickering.
Josh, it took to the 25-minute mark of the last quarter to really break the Saints in the end.
Yeah, we knew it was always going to be a tough battle, and we knew that last time we played them, they got on top of us, so we owed them one, and good to get away with the win.
It was tricky conditions today. How difficult was it to kick, because everyone seemed to be missing a lot of easy goals?
Yeah, certainly the new stand adds an element. Very, very windy, but we did pretty well on both sides, but good to get away with the win.
A real clearance game, pretty hard without Mumford in the second half. Do you know how his knee is?
No, I'm not sure, but obviously I hope it's all the best. He was able to donate his TV for us today, so it's good stuff there.
Well, mate, well done. Enjoy a good win. Top of the tree for the Swans now.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Had 35 disposals today, 28 handballs, Rosie.
Yeah, no.
That'd be close to a record. I would
tell you,
7 kicks and 28 handballs.
Yeah, 21 contested possessions, 9 clearances. He's just so big and strong around the clearances. He never loses balance. He's great at getting the handballs out. And 21, he was an outstanding. 28 handballs, 7 kicks. Outstanding player today.
Jetta, we see him on screen there. 13 disposals today, just the 1 goal, but others stood up when they needed to. The Swans win by 29 points, and they defeat St Kilda, who now will be out of the 8.